Channel America presents Busch Grand National Auto Racing. Not since 1971 has there been an inaugural race at a super speedway in North America. But in Bucolic, New Hampshire, from a sleepy 1.6-mile road race course that played host to sports cars and motorcycles, Bob Bear, in 1 year's time, has carved out a brand new racetrack that may become one of the show places of the sport. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Joy as we come to New Hampshire under partly cloudy, mostly sunny skies for the inaugural Budweiser 300 for the Busch Grand National Stars and the Winston Cup Invaders. With a weekend off from their home circuit, they've come in to challenge this brand new 1 mile oval. And what a wonderful facility has sprung up here. 1 year in the making from the moving of earth to this brand new racetrack. The existing tower grandstand and 1.6-mile road course were demolished last summer. Work continued year-round despite the harsh New Hampshire winters. There was lots of grading to be done, a 55,000-seat grandstand and VIP suites to be built, and this 2-lane tunnel that can accommodate even the biggest car hauler tractor-trailer rigs. In the spring, final grading, smoothing, and laying of the asphalt so it would have plenty of time to cure before this inaugural race. But even this week, with the ticket windows open and the turnstile spinning, much work to be done. This morning, Dick Berggren still found people hard at work on the race plant.
I'm with Dick Bear, the man who built this beautiful racetrack, and even here on the morning of the race, they're working. Dick, what are you doing?
Well, it's a little dusty around the helicopter pads, and we're going to wet it down a little bit, keep the dust down.
How much sleep have you and your brother had in the construction period?
Well, I guess it was enough because we're still here.
This has been a tough week, I'm sure.
Yeah, it has, but we got things pretty well under control.
The joys of the racetrack, is it a happy day for you? Have you caught on to the fact that it's really here?
Oh yeah, I think we're all happy. Everything came out pretty good, and all the guys are happy. The racetrack guys are super happy, and that's the main thing. I'm sure the fans will be too.
Was it as much work as you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, it wasn't much work, all right. It's not finished yet, but we're going to get it.
How long before it'll be all finished, before you're really happy with this place?
I'd say another 2 months. Another 2 months will do it.
How much more have you got to do? What do you want to do? What would you like to have had done for today?
Oh, more landscaping. That would have been the biggest thing.
Parking?
Parking, for sure. Parking, yeah. We need parking, but we're going to have it. We got 50 more acres across the street we're working on, and we'll have it.
What about the crowd today?
Well, I think it's going to be a good, happy crowd, I think.
Happy crowd. You want to predict a winner for us?
No, that's the last thing I want to do.
Back to you, Mike Joy. We're here in the infield trying to water things down.
Thank you, Dick. Joining me is Glenn Jarrett, a former Busch Series regular. Glenn, from our point of view, this is a great-looking racetrack, but what will these drivers face today?
Well, it certainly is a beautiful facility, Mike. They've done a great job here, and they built this racetrack, I think, truly with the fan and the driver in mind. Very, very smooth asphalt. They did a lot of work to keep this place as smooth as possible. Driver can carry the car down in the corner as hard as he wants to, as hard as the seat of the pants will allow him to do. Also, it's very wide, so I think we're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing. It's going to be a great show.
And it's a beautiful racetrack. We'll be back to the brand new New Hampshire International Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire, right after these messages. Welcome back to New Hampshire International Speedway. Glenn, as these drivers about to head into turn one for the first time, are they looking at a small super speedway or a big short track?
Well, Mike, primarily, most of them have brought their short track cars. This track has more short track characteristics than super speedway. It's got wide, flat, sweeping turns, so they're going to be looking for the short track machines to bring them home today.
Who wins this race, a Winston Cup Experience driver or a Busch Series regular?
Well, I got to go with the Winston Cup Experience. They don't really know what's going to happen out here. New track, you don't really know what track conditions are going to be. I'm going with Experience and Winston Cup.
I don't know. The Busch guys have been working on these cars all season long on different length racetracks. Let's go and meet the front row with the editor of Stock Car Racing magazine, Dick Berggren.
I'm with the man who set the fastest qualifying lap, Jimmy Hensley. To lead the first lap is worth about $9,500 in cash and prizes, but to win the race is worth $70,000. How do you handle it?
Well, the first lap, it is quite an incentive, to lead the first lap, but, we're not going to do anything stupid, I don't think, to lead the first lap. If we can, we will. If the opportunity does not arise, then we'll just wait and bide our time and try to win the race.
He's got to be careful. There's 45 cars behind him. We're going to go to a local commercial after this. In just a moment, we'll return for the very first lap at the New Hampshire International Speedway.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And that was Governor Gregg, who has just given the word. 46 cars fire up on the New Hampshire International Speedway, getting ready for the very first lap. Mike Joy, there is great excitement down here on the road.
Well, Dick Berggren, I think there is all throughout this grandstand. And Glenn, 46 cars. That's a monstrous field for a 1-mile racetrack.
Well, it is a big field. You know, as we stand here and look at that field, it doesn't look quite as big as it sounds, Mike, but that is a lot of cars. There's going to be a lot of action early on here.
Well, let's meet them. We'll take a look at the starting lineup. 7 Busch Series drivers at the front of the field. Here's the grid. Jimmy Hensley's Oldsmobile is the inaugural pole sitter at 123.4 miles per hour. He'll start alongside former Busch Series champion L.D. Ottinger in an Olds. In row number 2, Kenny Wallace, the 5th place point man with a Pontiac, and Tommy Ellis, former champ who is 7th in the points in a Buick. Row 3 is Dave Mader's Buick out of Alabama and surprising 6th qualifier Davey Johnson. Row 7, the fastest Busch North contender, Ricky Craven from New Hampshire and Kyle Petty, both in Pontiacs. In the 5th row, Rick Mass from Virginia in a Buick and Bobby Labonte's Oldsmobile. Row 6, Joe Nemechek in a Buick and Derek Copes Chevrolet. In the 7th row, Tommy Houston, the 3rd place point man with a Buick, and Morgan Shepherd driving a Chevy. In row 8, Robert Presley's Oldsmobile and Dale Jarrett's Pontiac. In the 9th row, the leading rookie, Dana Patton in a Buick, and 5-time race winner and point leader, Chuck Bown in a Pontiac. Row 10, Randy LaJoie from Connecticut in a Buick, and Dale Earnhardt's Chevrolet. Dave Resendiz, former Massachusetts native. Well, Massachusetts native, he's in the 11th row with Jeff Burton. There's Todd, the youngest of the Bodine brothers, with Maine's Kelly Moore in row 12. Looking back, Kenny Bouchard, Rodney Franklin, Bobby Hamilton out of Tennessee, and Tom Peck. Back in row 15, Steve Grissom, Dave Dion, former scourge of the New England short tracks. Jamie Obey, 2-year Busch Grand National North champion and 2-time winner this year, Mike Waltrip. In row 17, Ed Ferry and Bobby Dragon, one of the best ever to come out of the state of Vermont. Ed Barrier and the former national modified stock car champion, Mike McLaughlin in the 18th row. In row 19, Winston Cupper, Kenny Schrader with Elton Sawyer, Ron Lamell, and ARCA standout Bobby Dotter in the 20th row. Row 21 is Jeff Spraker from New York State, former champ Jack Ingram, Billy Clark out of Massachusetts, and Bobby Moon. And in the final row, promoter's option, Harry Gant at a bad time trial. Jack Sprague also added to the field. And there's the average speed for the 46 drivers, 121.2 miles per hour.
Pretty quick average speed there, Mike. That shows real close competition. Qualifying was very close, and it's a little odd to see Harry Gant at the very back of the pack. I look for Harry to come on strong. He simply had a bad qualifying run. He had one of the quickest cars here during practice, and I think he's going to be a factor before today's over. 38 cars got in this race on time trials, and the spread was only, was less than 1 second. That's a very, very tight field. And then the promoter's options, Lamell, Dotter, Spraker, Ingram, Clark, Moon, Gant, and Sprague. They are rolling here at New Hampshire International Speedway for the first ever Budweiser 300. We'll be back with it right after these messages. The cars are on the pace lap, and you're looking at Davey Johnson, a young fellow who started his racing career by winning a mini motorcycle championship. His car would not fire on the grid, had to get a push start, and is now finding his way into the lineup. They had a huge field for this race. 18 cars did not make the race. We'll recount those for you later in our telecast. Right now, let's go to pit road and Dick Berggren.
Well, Mike Joy, the cars have been sitting here for quite a while, and they are a bit reluctant to start. Johnson's car either flooded or just was a little reluctant, so they got a push truck behind him, and off he went. Michael Waltrip's car also didn't want to start. That's no surprise. They changed that automobile completely this morning in the garage area. From the last practice session, they pulled the rear end out from underneath it, put a new one under. They've changed all the springs, the anti-roll bars. They threw away everything they've worked on since they've come here to the New Hampshire International. Basically, it's a brand new suspension under that car. Right now, all 46 cars rolling. We're getting ready for a green flag.
Well, 46 cars will start. A quick look at the drivers that did not make the field. New Englanders Joey Carafas, Barney McRae, and Rick Miller. Mike Rowe and Joe Bessie from Maine. Dave Lind, Dave Davis, veteran Stub Fadden, Larry Brolsma, Jeff Berry from Connecticut, Mike Whedon and Bobby Gaeta, Dale Shaw from here in New Hampshire, Steve Park and Gary Schwab. And then Busch regulars Patty Moise did not make the field, nor did Donnie Ling Jr. out of New Jersey. 18 cars went home. It's incredible.
They had a tremendous turnout of cars here. That really says something for the purse that they're paying here, and also for their anticipation and eagerness to get the race on this facility.
Take a look at the point standings for the Busch Grand National Series. Chuck Bown, a 5-race winner, 25-46. Bobby Labonte, 160 markers behind. Jimmy Hensley in third. Tommy Houston fourth. And Kenny Wallace having a strong season in fifth. Tom Peck, who'd have thought that he'd be in sixth place at this point in the season? Tommy Ellis, former champ. Bobby Hamilton from Nashville. Steve Grissom and former champion, today's outside pole sitter, L.D. Ottinger. That's the top 10. Bound leads in most categories. Races won, money won. Getting set to go, and one driver we'll look for from the very, very back of the pack is Harry Gant in the Bandit. He'll start tail end Charlie on the field, and I'll bet 46 is the furthest back he's ever started anywhere.
I'll guarantee you Harry Gant's never been this far back at any race at any point in his career. That's a long, long way to go. I talked to him earlier today. He said he's just going to have to use patience. The car is working extremely well. He feels like that he can eventually get to the front of the car, but he's got to be smart in doing it.
The reason he had to take the option spot, he drew 36th in the time trial order, but asked if he could go off first so he could make a short track commitment last night. The track was very greasy under sharp sun conditions, and he time trialed poorly, not making the show, but was added as an optional starter.
That's right. They closed the track down for about 2 hours yesterday, Mike, before they qualified after the last practice, and during that time the track kind of bled a little bit. A new racing surface will do that. The oil in the asphalt seems to rise to the top when it sits under the sun for a long time, and it took 10-15 cars qualifying to get that oil surface wiped off to get them going fast again.
You're looking at turn number 4 of New Hampshire International Speedway as they come around the Speedway, and it looks like they'll take 2 to go. We'll return to the nation's newest super speedway facility right after this regional break. See the signal being given on the flag stand. 1 lap to go, and we'll face the green flag. Since before World War II, they raced motorcycles 10 miles north of here on the streets of Laconia, moved them to Guilford State Park, and in 1965, Keith Breyer opened this motorsports park, drag racing, road racing, motorcycles, and motocross. In December of 1988, plans began to build this super speedway, the first to be constructed in America since Pocono opened in 1971. And they've hosted already the Loudon Classic for motorcycles in June and some Sports Car Club of America races. But this will be the first test of the 1-mile super speedway oval, and 46 drivers are about to find out what the nation's newest super speedway is like.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real quick test, too. One of the things that is a point of concern for the drivers right now, particularly early on in the race when there's side-by-side traffic on a start, this is basically right now a one-groove racetrack. They haven't had enough practice time to get enough rubber down to make a 2-groove track.
Big bonus for the first lap leader.
Absolutely. We need to tell the folks that we saved the best for first. $5,000 goes to the leader of the first lap, and in addition to that, a new gold Rolex watch.
$4,500 worth.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to lead the first lap. This ought to really be interesting.
And look at the crowd. Over 35,000 are on hand here. That new turn 4 grandstand not yet filled, but the front stretch stand is full. On the break, L.D. Ottinger immediately goes single file between pole sitter Jimmy Hensley and her 2 wide back at 4th spot.
Yeah, Hensley got off to a great start there. He really did.
Back straight away, Kyle Petty drifting back 3 spots in the field as everybody tries to get single file. That's not going to be easy. Johnson's caught on the outside back at 6th spot as we look at Hensley and Ottinger and Kenny Wallace.
Yeah, Hensley's going to get that $5,000 going away.
All 46 cars under starters orders, 1 lap in the book, and Harry Gant has climbed up 7 spots. We'll pick up his progress a bit later on. Rick Matt moving well. L.D. Ottinger there neatly splitting the front 3 cars, and a change as Dave Mader moves up into the 3rd spot. Kenny Wallace was a bit high in turn 4 last time by. There's Wallace right side of your screen, and he's drifted back a bit.
Yeah, Kenny's hung out on the outside. It looks like his car might be a little loose, and he can't get it down on the bottom of the racetrack where he can make time.
Derek Cope in car number 10, that Purelator car running in his first ever Busch Grand National race for car owner Bob Whitcomb, based here in New Hampshire. There's Tommy Houston in 6, and right behind him Cope on the right of your screen in the back straightaway. Pedaling along, he's running in the 11th position. Houston is 10th. Kenny Wallace, number 36, is 9th.
Yeah, Wallace is now being overtaken by Tommy Houston. Houston moves to the inside of him as he come off of turn 4. Looks like Kenny's having a little problem with his car right now. Just doesn't want to turn in the middle of the corner.
Good clean start, and Morgan Shepherd in the yellow and white number 9 into view as part of that freight train battle. Look what happens to Wallace in 36 now, up on the outside. Cope has him, Shepherd has him, and here comes Kyle Petty after him.
Yeah, Kyle will get him too unless Kenny can get down on the bottom of the racetrack. The guys were all fearful of being caught in the outside groove early on, and Kenny has found himself there, and he's losing ground rapidly.
Does this sound a lot like Martinsville, or what?
Yeah, exactly like Martinsville. You don't want to be hung out there.
So Kenny Wallace struggles to find a spot in the running room, and trouble up in turn 4.
Dave Resendez of car 79 is looped it. There was another car that spun around before him.
Looks like everybody will get through unscathed as that battle continues to work now out of the second corner, and down the back straightaway will go under caution. So the first caution flag of the brief career of New Hampshire International Speedway is upon us. Dave Resendez having a twirl up there in turn number 4. The driver from Massanutten, Massachusetts, who ran NASCAR Modifieds and then Busch Grand National North cars, and finally now has moved down south to challenge the Busch Series regular.
Dave has done a real good job here lately. He's been running extremely well. He just looks like he got in the high groove there, and it just looped around, no damage. He continued on after he spun the car around.
First caution of the day comes out on lap number 4 at New Hampshire International Speedway. We'll be back to Loudon, New Hampshire after this. Jimmy Hensley, the race leader after this first break of caution. L.D. Ottinger in 2nd. Dave Mader is 3rd. Tommy Ellis is up to 4th. Davey Johnson runs in the 5th position. And Harry Gant, who started tail end on the field, has climbed his way up now to 33rd position, or 32nd position. There's a look at Gant. He's passed 13 cars since the start.
And I don't think 13 is an unlucky number at this stage of the game. That's a tremendous number of cars that have passed this early on in the race.
When they watch Gant on this restart, green flag is out. They're pretty well single file. Gant quickly ducks under one car that didn't get going in a big, quick hurry. Looked like that was Jeff Spraker's machine that didn't come up to speed right away, as the field's back under green and down into turn number 1.
Jimmy Hensley once again got off to a real good start, pulled L.D. Ottinger, who was in the 2 car running in 2nd place, by about 5 car lengths as they took off. So he's really on the key right now. The car's coming up to speed very quickly.
And check that, it was not Spraker, rather it was Rodney Franklin's car slow coming up to speed, but it has now. Down the front straightaway, challenge to the inside. Diving off into the corner, Tommy Ellis, looking for L.D. Ottinger's spot, and he wasn't going to get it, and he wasn't going to try it.
No, he's not going to try it this early on. Tommy made a quick move on the restart to get by the 3rd place car, number 56, Dave Mader, put him up in a position to challenge L.D. He's really running in the corners a little harder than anybody else right now. Looks like this car's working extremely well. I look for him to move under L.D. here very shortly.
Ellis in 99, a Buick. Ottinger's car, an Oldsmobile in 2nd spot. That's an Olds up front for Jimmy Hensley.
You know, the guys are exercising a lot of patience right now, Mike. They're kind of tiptoeing their way around because, as we talked about earlier, this is a single groove racetrack. You're not going to see them dive in there side by side right yet until they get a little more rubber in that outside groove.
Here comes Ellis trying to pass in the back straightaway again. He gets just up to the bumper of Ottinger and soft pedals it. Wise move.
LD slammed the door on him there. Of course, I think he really felt like Tommy wasn't nervy enough yet to go down under him this early in the race.
Bit of 2-wide racing back in the pack, and let's pick up there is Harry Gant, and right behind him Ron Lamell battling off Ken Schrader. Schrader in that familiar number 25 livery, except it's 52 today.
Got it inverted today.
25, of course, worn by Jimmy Hensley on the Busch Grand National Circuit. So Gant moving away from Ron Lamell, who came right up through with him, another one of the optional starters. Car in the wall in turn 4. As traffic heads in, and there is Davey Johnson. What a tough day he has had.
Got some fire coming out in front of the car. He slammed the wall pretty hard. He hit with the tail end first. He went into the corner in the outside groove. The car just wouldn't stick, and it turned around. You see Davey climbing out of the car now. In his haste to get out, he almost falls over. He is definitely okay, but it looks like he's through for the day.
He was a bit of a surprise qualifying up in 6th position for this race.
Well, he certainly was, but you know, his background is running on flat half-mile dirt tracks where you do a lot of power sliding. Yesterday in qualifying, that's about what it took to run a fast lap here, so it wasn't really surprising to Davey at all. I'm sure he's really disappointed to have the car go out from under him this early in the race now.
Fellow who started racing on motorcycles at the age of 9. He's won over 300 trophies in 9 years of racing bikes before turning to cars. Has over 50 late model featured wins, and he's one of the contenders for a Busch Series Rookie of the Year. But today will not be his day, as the Daly's Fruit Juices car is up against the wall. And here's take another look at it.
You got the tail end of it. You can see him up in the outside groove there. The car just simply lost traction. They're having more problems here getting into the corners than they are coming off the corners. You get in the corner a little too high or a little too hot, and the back end of the car just turns right up from under you, and up the racetrack into the wall you go. That's exactly what happened to Davey Johnson.
Once again, Johnson is okay, and we're under the second caution of the day. The first for Dave Resendi's spin at turn 4. This second one at lap 11 for Davey Johnson, crashing the wall in turn number 3. We're at New Hampshire International Speedway for the Budweiser 300, and we pause now for a regional break. Sports Channel America's coverage of the Budweiser 300. Well, the wall gets inaugurated up here in turn number 3 at New Hampshire International Speedway. The Davey Johnson car being picked up and care taken with this new asphalt. Let's look at the way they're running. After 13 laps now, these last 2 having been run under the caution flag. Jimmy Hensley, the pole sitter, up front. Tommy Ellis has muscled his way now to the 2nd spot. L.D. Ottinger's in 3rd. Dave Mader 4th. And Ricky Craven is up there in the 5th spot, giving the New England fans something to cheer about. Tommy Houston is 6th. Rick Mast, Joe Nemechek, Morgan Shepherd, and Derek Cope doing quite a job considering he's never driven a Busch Grand National car. But Bob Whitcomb, who owns Cope's racing team and was in victory lane for the Daytona 500, owned a construction and lumber concern up here in New Hampshire before he went south to go racing, and he's got a lot of family and friends up here for the inaugural, so they put Cope in a car, and he's doing quite a good job of it, running in the 10th position. This brand new super speedway is the result of one man's vision and dream, a very successful businessman and former short track owner up in New Hampshire, Bob Baer. Let's meet him.
Bob Baer, how long have you dreamed of this day?
Well, I guess for a long time, to be honest with you.
About how many years have you wanted to do this, Bob?
Well, I guess you always want to do something, but the thing to do is get around to doing it. And we finally, when we actually sold Oxford, and had a couple of years we were out of it, we decided it was time to do it if we were ever going to do it. I'm 62, and hell, now's the time. Gary's 27, so it worked out great.
Was it a bigger project than you anticipated?
Well, a little bit, yes, it really was. You know, you run into a few problems. And what we did was we added a lot of things at the time that we weren't going to do originally. Like we had permits for 56,000 seats. We put the 56 and had it all ready so that, you know, environmental things can change. So we figured we better do it and have it behind us. So we got it all done. It isn't done. We still needed 2 more weeks and, you know, to have it done. And we got to kind of apologize to people for not having it ready.
How about the field? Are you impressed with the field that's arrived here for your first race?
Yeah, I think we got a hell of a field. I think we got a real good field. We got some good Grand National guys, some good Cup guys, and you know, they all seem to like it, and I think it's going to work out great. I think that people are going to see a great race.
How tired are you today?
No, I don't know if I really am tired. I was tired yesterday, but I'm not really tired now. I just want to get the show going. I want people to leave this place happy.
Tell us about a Winston Cup date. Have you got it in the pocket, or is it still anticipated?
Oh, I definitely haven't got one. In fact, I haven't even talked about it. What I feel is I got to get this behind me, and maybe I'm just hoping and praying to God that someday I might get one.
Well, Bob Baer has been a NASCAR insider for a long time, promoted the Oxford 250 to the point where it became the richest short track race in the world, sold that racetrack and began thinking, someday I want a super speedway. And Glenn, a lot of developers have had plans for speedways on the board, even gone so far as the permit process and gone to the regulatory and governmental commissions and even to NASCAR. Not too many of those projects ever really got off the ground, but Bob did a very smart thing. He went to an existing race facility, and instead of trying to do everything from scratch and reinvent the wheel, he said, well, they're racing here. They have the permits. They have the land available for expansion. They've been conducting this type of activity here for 25 years. We can take this and transform it, do the same thing, only bigger and better, and that's just what he's done.
Well, and they've done a magnificent job. You know, it amazed me when I first walked in here and saw this place. I mean, you know, I'm from the southeast and have been used to seeing the finer racing facilities being built and maintained down there, but this is indeed a show place. As you heard both Dick and Bob Bear say they're not quite through with it yet, and when they get through, they're really going to have one of the finest racing facilities in this whole country, without a doubt.
Well, I've known Bob Bear and his brother Dick, who, by the way, used to own the cars Mike Waltrip raced on the Winston Cup circuit. That's how Bahari Racing, the BA, is for Dick Bear. And I don't think they'll ever really be done with this. But it's quite a plant here. As we look out over turn number 1 of the Super Speedway and into the RV parking lot, and some non-paying spectators here in the infield. Now, you might at some tracks have a big pond, but this is how building a racetrack has changed. You see the reeds and the ducks, and this is inland wetlands, and the Bears were not allowed to change this part of the facility or fill it in, as was done at Charlotte. But environmentally, they said, okay, we'll keep this place much as it was. And there it is. It's going to be a beautiful racetrack. It is already, and certainly there are more improvements to come. But right now, the Chevrolet Corvette safety car is stretching out the field, and we're about to see if Jimmy Hensley can hang on to that lead. Tommy Ellis has climbed up through the field. Ellis started 4th. Kenny Wallace drifted back a bit. Ellis took L.D. Ottinger just prior to the caution flag, and now he'll be knocking on the door of Jimmy Hensley.
Without a doubt, those are two of the best short track racers, short flat track racers that there are. And once again, Jimmy Hensley gets a big jump, even on Tommy Ellis in second place this time. Hensley pulls him about 5 car lengths as they go down this long front straightaway into the first turn.
Jimmy Hensley out front, where he's been since the drop of the initial green flag. We're working lap number 18. Tommy Ellis is right with him. Ottinger is 3rd. Mader is 4th. And Tommy Houston coming up quickly. Harry Gant working hard to the outside of Robert Presley out of Asheville, North Carolina. Gant down the straightaway, picks up another spot.
You know, these early cautions are playing in Harry's favor because as he picks up this ground, as the cautions come out, it closes the field up and it allows him to stay that much closer to the leader. So he may get through this field a lot quicker than we thought.
And the gold car right with him is Ron Lamell, working right up through the field with Harry Gant. Back up front, Jimmy Hensley. Middle of the screen, Tommy Ellis, and L.D. Ottinger is drifting back out of sight of the leaders just a bit. Long way back to Dave Mader, the 4th place car.
Yeah, the first 3 cars have really pulled away. In fact, the first 2 have pulled away from L.D. He's kind of sitting there in 3rd place. You can't see him in the screen right now. There he comes into view. But those 3 cars pulled out away from the rest of the field, and Jimmy Hensley continues to stretch that lead out over second place Tommy Ellis in the 99 car.
So Jimmy Hensley has now led the first 19 laps, 1 driver out of the race as a result of that 11-lap caution. That's Davey Johnson. Dick Berggren is with him.
Well, Davey Johnson, you had a tough day. First it wouldn't start, and then it hit the wall. How hard is that wall?
The wall here at New Hampshire is hard, and we blew a motor coming down into 3, and there was nothing I could do. I tried to keep it off the wall, but being a new track and all, hit the slicker part of the track and whizzed in the wall, but you're okay. I feel fine. My pride's a little hurt. I figured the Daily Juice product team had a good run coming today, and things ended up in a chain. Like, well, this young driver will have a lot more chances to prove himself.
And we've got a car, as you see, you're now looking at Jimmy Hensley. We see car number 31 coming into the pits right now, Steve Grissom. Looks like he's got a cut left rear tire. Another car making its way down pit road is Ron Lamell.
That's a tough break for Lamell, the Vermont driver. He has a flat right rear, and he was coming right up through the field with Harry Gant. They started together on the last row. Lamell pitting a little further down the lane as the leaders streak off into turn number 1. Nice shot of Jimmy Hensley and Tommy Ellis from the high camera at turn 1. Little look at the Dipsy Doodle in the road race course, which starts inside and then goes outside the Super Speedway for 1 mile and 6/10, as it once did.
Mike, it's interesting to watch the battle going on between 25 Hensley and 99 Tommy Ellis. As they go into the corners, Ellis seems to close ground a little bit. As they accelerate off, Jimmy Hensley seems to hook up a little better and stretch that distance back out. Right now, the cars are running pretty equally, but Hensley is definitely quicker as they come off the turns.
Well, Glenn, you know what we don't see up in the front of this field are Winston Cup drivers. Kyle Petty started 8th. He was the quickest in the field. We asked Jimmy Hensley, the pole sitter, if he was surprised the Busch Grand National drivers outclassed the Cuppers in qualifying for this race.
Well, I really can't say. You know, this is a new track for everybody, and you probably think the Winston Cup guys will be up some. I tell you, the Busch Grand National's got some real good race car drivers, and this is kind of like a short track, and we're pretty tough on short tracks, and they count in our backyard now, I think, and so we look to run with them and give them a good race tomorrow.
That could be a telling comment, Glenn.
Yeah, I like to thank you. He's very polite. He's known as the Virginia gentleman.
Yes, he is. Out of Ridgeway, Virginia, where they make those famous clocks that they give away at Clay Earls Martinsville Speedway, Jimmy Hensley.
Fred Whitaker and find out how this past
We'll be with Dick Berggren in a moment as Harry Gant continues to work his way up through the field. Berggren has been around the Gant pit. Third and fourth is beginning to shape up as a battle.
Yeah, the fourth place car, you can see the front two cars right there. Jimmy Hensley in 25 continues to lead as he has from the outset. We're going to see the battle for third place right now. LD Ottinger number 2, and Tommy Houston in car number 6 has moved up into the fourth position. Tommy started, I believe, 8, and now he has moved up to the fourth position. Looks like he's going to mount a charge on LD.
Tommy Houston really working well with that Rose's car. 13th he started. Well down. Quite a good drive to the front. He, like Harry Gant, helped out by those early race cautions. We've had 2.
Yeah, that definitely helps keep the field bunched together when you got early cautions like that. It gives you a chance to make your moves and not lose any ground to the front 2 cars. You see Ottinger in 3rd and Houston in 4th.
LD started on the outside pole. He's been passed by Tommy Ellis for 2nd. So Ottinger, the former national champ, now 3rd in car 2. Tommy Houston in car number 6, running 4th and right up under his rear bumper. Down that long front straightaway. And Houston has a look down into turn number 1, but just doesn't seem to have the steam. It looks like, Glenn, they're able to draft down these straightaways, but not really get a run up under somebody at the end.
Well, the drafting will come into effect just a little bit, Mike, but what happens by the time you really start to feel the effect, it's time to decelerate to go into the turn so you can't slingshot by a guy. You can't stay down on that bottom groove running that fast. The car simply won't stick down there.
There are the front 4. That battle for 3rd continues to rage. Houston breathing the car just a little bit to the inside. And down there coming up is Ricky Craven, the Pembroke, New Hampshire driver. Now he is the 5th place car and gaining on this battle.
Yeah, while those 2 cars of Houston and Ottinger battle for position, that's allowing number 28. You'll see him come onto the screen here in just a moment. He's moving up onto the rear deck to try to challenge for that 4th place. We're going to see a 3-car battle there very, very shortly.
I don't think hardly any of these Southern drivers have run much against Craven, who's out of the Busch Grand National North Series, hailed from Pembroke, New Hampshire. Likeable young fella. Here goes Houston. He's got the move this time, and Ottinger squeezes right down on him. Now, Tommy had to get in the brakes because now Ricky Craven is right there.
Yeah, he had to brake real hard. LD really put a move on and squeezed him down there, which he has the right to do. He's got track position. Tommy's got to make his room, so I'll guarantee you he'll try it again, though, very, very shortly.
Tennessee, North Carolina, and New Hampshire right in that pack, and here are the leaders. And it's going to be Ellis looking to the inside. Looks like he's nudged Hensley up out of that low groove.
Certainly has. He's got the lead there. You can see Ellis just drove right on by him. I think Hensley backed out to let him go. He did not want to be caught on that outside going into the first turn. Decided, well, I've led this thing long enough. Let me let Ellis take a few laps in the point here.
Tommy Ellis is kind of this series' version of Dale Earnhardt. He's a driver that just hates to run 2nd. And back at 3rd spot now. Back behind these 2 leaders, we may see a change of position momentarily. At the end of the back straightaway, Tommy Houston working. And Houston has that spot. He's now moved up to 3rd. So there's Tommy Houston in number 6. Now 3rd, LD Ottinger 4th, and Ricky Craven right there in 5th.
And running behind Ricky Craven is the 22 car of Rick Mast. Rick has come on strong. Interesting story there. You're looking at the 6th car of Tommy Houston. Early this morning, Rick Mast's crew developed or found a problem in his engine. They did not have a backup engine. They borrowed one from the 6th car of Tommy Houston. So it might be too awfully long from now that Tommy Houston sees that engine that he loaned to Rick Mast drive right by him for position.
Let's update you on Winston Cuppers in the field. Dale Jarrett currently is running in the 10th spot. Dale Earnhardt is back in 12th. In 16th is Kyle Petty. In 18th is Derek Cope. 22nd, Michael Waltrip, and 25th, Harry Gant.
And we overlooked Morgan Shepherd in the 9th car, running in the 8th position. He's the top Winston Cup driver right now. You got to look at Harry Gant, still making his way up through the field.
And down in his pit, Dick Berggren.
One with Ed Whitaker. Now, Ed, your guys passed almost half the field. What's he saying to you about the difficulty of passing? How tough is it?
Right now, he says it's pretty hard to pass. He's taking his time, picking his way through them, and he said the cars work real good, so maybe we'll be all right today.
So many of the Winston Cup guys seem to be in the back of the field or in the middle of the field. Why is that?
Well, they don't run all the races, and sometimes they don't get as good a setup as they need. That's all I say.
Well, there you go. The Busch Grand National guys seem to be dominating the front end of the pack, Mike.
Harry Gant trying to move up, though. He's won a good number of these Busch Grand National races. Back up front, Tommy Ellis opening it up just a bit. Look at that blue and white car. Tommy Houston is roaring to the front. He has caught Jimmy Hensley. for second spot.
Houston has really come on strong here. While we were talking to, while Dick Bergman was talking to Ed Whitaker, Houston used that time to move right up on the rear deck lid. Second place car, Jimmy Hensley. I don't think it'll be too awfully long before he moves around, and he's really hooked up right now.
Looking at the front three. At the front of the pack, Tommy Ellis. Hard charger. Every bit as hard as Dale Earnhardt. Love to see it when these two can get up together and knock a little sheet metal. Second place about to be in contest as Tommy Houston pulls up on Jimmy Hensley. Hensley led the first 29 laps of this race. Ellis taking over at lap 30.
And now Ellis is really stretching that lead out. You know, we talked about yesterday, Mike, about how similar this track is to Martinsville Speedway. It's just about twice as big, but the layout is very, very similar. What you're seeing here is Tommy Ellis leading, Jimmy Hensley running second, and Tommy Houston running third right now. Those are the guys that excel at Martinsville Speedway. They're using that experience and expertise to push their way to the front on this racetrack.
Well, another fellow who excels there is not having such good luck here. Morgan Shepherd was up alongside in a battle for 12th and 13th spot, and he got caught in that high groove and shuffled way back in the pack. So he was up battling with Dale Earnhardt just a bit ago, and now he's dropped several spots back in the field. Tommy Ellis, runaway leader at this point, but of course, don't go away. Things like this never last for too long in this kind of series as Bob Dragon brings the Shaw race car's Budweiser machine to pit road. Fellow from Milton, Vermont, has won a lot of races up north here. There's the battle for second place. Jimmy Hensley and Tommy Houston chasing this man. Tommy Ellis in the 99, your race leader. Houston's right there. How long is it going to take him to figure out a way past Hensley? We'll find out. At New Hampshire International Speedway, the Budweiser 300 is 36 laps old. We'll be back after these messages. At New Hampshire International Speedway, working their way around, Tommy Ellis has now caught some of the lap traffic. And L.D. Ottinger has dropped a spot or two here. He's in the midst of a pack of traffic, and he has fallen some 5 spots from where he was running when we went to break. One car around, big trail of smoke, and Dave Resendiz has caught the wall again in turn 4. Meanwhile, a spin out of turn number 2 has left a big dust cloud and the caution flag for the 3rd time today.
Boy, that was action on both ends of the speedway. You see Dave Resendiz, a lot of smoke trailing from that car. He, if you recall, had earlier spun. He had done a little sheet metal damage to the right side. It looks like now something is broken on the car. A lot of smoke trailing from that thing right now. You can see the sheet metal hanging off the left rear.
He's caught something with it. The Sonnet, Massachusetts former modified driver, now Busch Series regular. Looks like a bit of, I hope that's only tire smoke.
Yeah, it could very, very well be, because there is more right side damage now to the car than there was earlier on from that first spin.
Let's have another look at it as we're under caution. Resendiz's car, a lot of smoke, and here's the original spin that triggered all this. It is Mike McLaughlin, the NASCAR National Modified Champion of a year ago.
Yeah, McLaughlin loses it coming off of turn 2, loops it around, creates a lot of smoke. He does a good job. You can see him spin 360, straighten the car out, turns it right off, keeps it out of the dirt.
Well, he's had a lot of dirt experience. Won a bunch of dirt championships before he came to pavement, so he twirled that thing pretty well in the Harry and Mike Ricci car. This is Resendiz trying not to lose another lap before he makes the pit stop. That's why he's still out there and trying to get back up with the field so they can get repairs completed and get him back out without losing a lap. Meanwhile, the leader is on pit road. Here's Tommy Ellis coming down the lane, and in his pit, let's go down to Dick Berggren.
Take on 2 outside tires. At least a bunch of the competitors are pitting. Houston is going to stay on the racetrack. Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt, a whole lot of guys are out here except Tommy Houston, who's elected to not pit. We're still early in the race. Houston staying out there. Ellis going with used tires on his car. He's got 2 outside tires on it. He is the very first to take off. Back on the racetrack again. He has lost the lead, but there he goes. Meanwhile, action all up and down pit road. The dominant strategy, outside tires and outside tires only. Nice wide pit road here. It's 65 feet wide. We haven't even seen a real close one yet.
And Dick, it looks from our vantage point that a lot of these drivers are taking on scuffed tires, Glenn, and not new rubber.
Well, Mike, the reason they're doing that, they spent a lot of time yesterday breaking in tires. You've got a situation where the scuffed tires work better for a longer period of time. The sticker tires are quick just for a few laps.
At New Hampshire International Speedway, lap 42. We're under caution for the 3rd time today. Let's take a pause now for this regional break. Sports Channel America's coverage of the Budweiser 300 continues after these messages. 43 laps in to the Budweiser 300, and they get the green flag. Tommy Houston, who elected not to pit, is the race leader. Joe Nimchek, Kyle Petty, Todd Bodine, and Tom Peck at the front of the field. Put some new faces out front, trying to get a lap back there against the leaders. The white car is 31 Steve Grissom.
Yeah, Grissom lost a lap earlier. Remember, he had to pit for a cut tire, so he's trying to make that lap up right now. Doing a pretty good job at it, but I believe Houston's going to be able to overtake him being in the inside group.
Tommy Houston, Joe Nimchek right nestled against his bumper. Gets it a little squirrely there, hangs in second spot in number 87.
Yeah, Joe wasn't shy at all about running right up there and tapping Tommy, saying, hey, buddy, get out of the way. You know, you're holding me up right now.
Grissom remains a lap down as Nimchek reaffirms his second place. Out of turn number 2, Kyle Petty now up to third, trying to pull Todd Bodine along with him, his teammate. Jerry Kinnan, crew chief for both of those cars.
You know, Mike, a caution flag at this juncture in the race is just what the crew chiefs were looking for. They want to see what they can check their fuel mileage now, and they can also look at the tire wear to see just how the tires are working for them.
Here are the first of the cars that pitted under that caution. Dale Earnhardt and Jimmy Hensley trying to work back up through. That's Earnhardt right behind that Todd Bodine.
And you see that how the savvy of the Winston Cup crews pays off here. Earnhardt went into the pits way back in the field. Now he's running up into the top 5.
Earnhardt and Hensley giving him a good run up there, saying, hi, how are you? Off into the corner and drops back in line. So Earnhardt and the youngest of the Bodine brothers, Jeff, Brett, and Todd.
Yeah, Todd's got some pretty heavy company right now. He's got one of the most well-known race drivers in Dale Earnhardt on his tail end, and also 25 car, one of the best Busch Grand National drivers. So he's doing a pretty good job holding those two characters off right now.
And here's Hensley, though. Now he has the inside on Earnhardt and a little bit of a draft from Bodine.
I think you'll see Dale Earnhardt back up. No, he just buries it right in the corner on the side of him. It doesn't scare him.
One thing you can always count on from Earnhardt is you can't count on him.
That's exactly right. His unpredictability is predictable.
And he is one of the first to test that outside line up there in 3 and 4 all the way around.
Yeah, he made it through the corner without hitting anything. He just lost position, but I think Hensley definitely had the groove on it, so he was going to take it away anyway. As the race wears on, you'll have to see those guys moving up into that groove, creating an outside lane to pass with.
Right there with them, Chuck Bound, the fellow who's won 5 races this year, is up there as Todd Bodine gets underneath the car of Jimmy Hensley. Now, lots of pit stops, and a couple of them were lengthy. Dick Berggren is down in the Dave Resendiz pit.
Yeah, and his pit stop is still going on, Mike. It started when the yellow flag happened, and Resendiz started the yellow flag. Resendiz had a lot of help, however, to cause that yellow flag. The problem, an oil line failed, and he sprayed oil all over the right front tire, lost control of the car, not surprisingly, thumped the wall. Here he sits. He is very frustrated. The crew is adding oil to the car, changing some of the stainless steel lines and fittings on the front end. Resendiz will get back out, but his day is really over. He's not going to win this thing, and that is for sure.
And maybe not as Chuck Bound. Bound is loose, and he hangs on. Boy, did he get up in the marbles.
Well, he had a little help.
Yeah.
Car number 3, Dale Earnhardt, really knocked the whale out of him as they started through that corner. I think Chuck's car didn't get through it quite as quickly as Dale anticipated. He popped him pretty good and got him up in the marbles, and you see how much time he lost. He lost a good 12, 15 positions there.
Boy, it really takes so long to get your momentum back if you get it upset.
Yeah, they told me earlier on, the drivers did it. If you get up in those marbles, the thing that you want to do is to get it slowed down, get the car straightened out as quickly and as easily as you can.
So Bound gathered him back in and continues on. And hitting the wall, Ron Lamell, the Essex Junction, Vermont driver. He has narrowed up the nose of his Buick pretty well, and we're under caution again as he goes down the back straightaway under power here at lap 52. So Lamell, who started back with Harry Gant, made one pit stop earlier, but was coming up through the field. And now it appears his race will go the other way. So tough break for Lamell, who looked for a big finish here, and will have to go to pit road. Sports Channel America's coverage of the Budweiser 300 continues right after these messages. 53 laps are completed. New Hampshire International Speedway in the Budweiser 300. Tommy Houston out at the front of the field where he's been since that last caution flag. Time for a Quaker State race summary of the event so far. Tommy Houston the leader. Tommy Ellis and pole sitter Jimmy Hensley have also led. 3 lead changes. We're under the third, now the 4th caution of the day. 14 laps of yellow run so far. First one for Dave Resendiz, second for Davey Johnson, the third for Resendiz, and now Ron Lamel, cracking the wall, has brought out the 4th caution flag, and he is back in the race after repairs on pit road. Caution flag continues to wave here, 4th time today. And it's still a little early to see who's caught the setup for this racetrack, I think.
Well, it is. I think Tommy Ellis was one of the first to hit on it. He had pulled away to a pretty good lead before he made that pit stop to take on fresh tires and fill up his gasoline, and he has already moved back up into the 4th spot. So I feel like that Ellis is definitely going to be a factor. Dale Earnhardt's running well. Dale Jarrett's doing a good job right now. Morgan Shepherd, you're starting to see the Winston Cup guys move forward in the pack. One thing we want to note right now that we've only gone 53, 54 laps. Harry Gant started 45th. If my count is correct, he's in 15th position right now.
Pretty good advance through the field. So looking up front, it'll be Tommy Houston. The Keene Sentinel over in western New Hampshire had a big sports section on the race yesterday, but the front page, well, to quote, it said things are pretty quiet in the region this weekend, so it might be a good time to take care of those neglected chores around the house. So grab a paintbrush and hedge clippers and go at it. No, come to the racetrack. Come to the racetrack.
Things are not quiet over here, not at all.
No, sir. There is thunder in the hills of New Hampshire. Beautiful vacation spot, Lake Winnipesaukee just up the road. And normally, I hate the word bucolic, but I'll use it anyway, on Route 106 became 3 lanes of traffic into the racetrack this morning. And I guess there were still some folks trying to get in when it started. They parked all the cars here that they could and got everybody in. Bob Bear says they'll have more parking available next race and more improvements to come. Steve Grissom is going to try again. He's the white car to get his lap back, but Tommy Houston has none of that. Here's Earnhardt right there with Todd Bodine and Jimmy Hensley, and Dale Jarrett trying to march their way up front.
Yeah, we got a lot of cars that are really running in very, very close speeds right now, running close quarters. This should be one of the most interesting junctures up to the race to this point because they've had time to sort the cars out, feel the racetrack out. I think you're going to see some real dicing for position. We got car number 69 now. Has stalled.
Spraker.
He's coming right off of turn 2, moved right against the backstretch wall, and now they're having to throw the caution because, you can see he's got a right front tire problem there, so he is stalled against the wall back there.
Tough break for the fella out of New York State, who also ran modifieds and then made the move to the Busch Series Tour. They've overhauled the pace car in the back straightaway, so didn't get him out quite quickly enough to catch him this time. They'll have him next time around.
He's going to wait around, and I imagine that.
And here comes Steve Grissom. He's going to get his lap back on the run back to the flag.
Heady move by Steve Grissom there. Absolutely. He has got, he caught Houston napping a little bit there. Caution car pulled out. It was a little bit confusing. I'm sure that Steve Bird, Grissom's crew chief, was down in the pit hollering at him to Floyd, man, you got your chance, and he took it, made the most of it.
Steve Bird is one of the best. He is from New Hampshire.
That's right.
It's a lot of the sport that's from up here. Folks down south may not know. So Grissom will get his lap back. Combination of the rule and the gentleman's agreement about racing back to the flag. If you're challenging the leader, you can do it. Everybody else pretty much holds their line. At New Hampshire International Speedway in the Budweiser 300, we pause now for a regional break. Sports Channel America's coverage of the Budweiser 300 continues after these messages. We're about ready for a restart at Loudon, New Hampshire. Quickly, let's go down to Dick Berggren.
Mike, with all these restarts, I just asked Scott Houston, who is crew chief for his father, who's leading this race right now, how come he's not coming in for tires and for fuel? He says, wait a minute, what does this thing pay to lead the lap? I said $100 a lap. He says, we go to lap 99. That looks like what these guys are going to do. Just stay out there, collect some lap money, but also very, very important is track position. With this many race cars on the speedway, every time you come in and you take a pit stop, you got a good chance of getting shuffled in the back. Tommy Houston's right up front. That's where he wants to stay. He's collecting money. He likes it. He's happy.
So Houston is out all alone on the restart because all the action was right behind him. Tommy Houston got up and under everybody and took back second spot.
It's going to be interesting to see if Ellis timed that just right or whether he jumped the gun a little bit. It looks to me like his timing was perfect. He caught a couple of them sleeping coming off the 4th turn on their restart, made it 3 abreast down the front stretch and took over sole possession of second place. Now I think you're going to see him move up, close the gap between the car number 6 leader Tommy Houston and Ellis. He's already started to close that gap.
as we talk.
And 2 cautions ago at lap 41, Ellis did stop for right side tires. Leader Tommy Houston did not.
Ellis definitely has an advantage from the tire wear standpoint. His tires have got are 50 laps fresher than what Houston's are. So I think that Houston may find himself moving back to the pack just a little bit now if we run into green flag conditions.
Tell you who's running a good smart race is Joe Nemechek. He's right now in 4th place, just back behind Tommy Ellis and Kyle Petty. Nemechek in 87 has held that low line all the way through, and it seems to be working real well for him.
It certainly is. He's doing a really, really good job. As Kyle Petty is, you know, those guys just kind of are using a lot of patience. That's what one of the main things was in the forefront of everybody's minds. Let's be careful. Don't try to do anything too quickly. Don't take any unnecessary chances early.
So Nemechek there in 87, dogging Kyle Petty down through corner number 1, keeping it right low on the white line, and saying, if you're going to get me, you're going to have to go around me. And that'll give him a good finish today.
Absolutely. If he can stay glued to the bottom of that racetrack like that, there won't be many people be able to pass him.
But back behind Nemechek on the right side of your screen there in the corner, Jimmy Hensley is closing in. Hensley, the 5th place car. 6th is Earnhardt.
Darth Vader is coming up. The black car of Earnhardt. Hold on, guys. He's coming to the front.
Dale Jarrett is 8th. Todd Bodine is the 9th place car, and Ed Barrier looks to be in 10th position.
Yeah, Barrier's got a super run going. They had to change engines. They had a problem yesterday, burned the piston, made an engine change, and didn't even get to practice or anything with it, so they were pretty uncertain as to what was going to happen. But he's running really well right now into the top 10. That's a good run.
11th is Jamie Obey, the Busch North champion. In 12th, Morgan Shepherd. 13th is L.D. Ottinger. Leaders in the front straightaway.
You know, Scott Houston was talking about his dad staying out there to collect his lap money, which he's doing right now. Also, today will mark Tommy Houston surpassing the $1 million mark in earnings in this circuit. He's only the 2nd person to do so. Jack Ingram did it last year. Tommy Houston will surpass that mark today.
Great testimony to how popular this circuit has become and how much money is being paid. This race, to get it in a second, it's a ton. I think it's about $350,000. A lot of money at stake here.
Yeah, over $350,000 up for grabs here right now. In fact, I think the winner can take on in excess of $50,000. That's a tremendous payday.
Here's Earnhardt, and with him, Dale Jarrett. There's Kyle Petty running along with Joe Nemechek.
Joe's hanging right with him. I tell you, Kyle's got a lot of experience, a lot more experience than Joe does, but it's not paying off right now because Joe's got that thing glued right to Kyle's rear end. Everywhere Kyle goes, Joe goes, so he's doing a terrific job. Donnie Allison, an old Winston Cup veteran, is the crew chief on the Nemechek car, so he's got him dialed in right now.
Well, I've got an interesting story going on down here on pit road, Mike Joy. As you know, several of these teams are very, very far from home. Among them, Kyle Petty and Todd Bodine are sharing the same pit crew. What they had decided before the race is whoever was running best would be the first to get service. That, of course, gives you track position. Right now, Kyle Petty is running in 3rd spot, but Todd Bodine is running in 9th. So obviously, if things stay the way they are right now, the next round of pit stops when they come in, Kyle Petty's going to get his pit stop done first, and Todd Bodine is going to go like a rocket all the way to the back of the pack as he has to wait his turn to get service. Jack Ingram is also sharing a pit crew with Michael Waltrip. So, boy, it's a big pit road, but there aren't enough people out here to do all the work today.
I love it. Tag team auto racing. Back up front, Tommy Houston is holding his margin now over Tommy Ellis. So Houston, he is a very good chassis setup man. He and Scott, they really know how to work a set of tires and how to get the most out of that race car for a long period of time. And here are 2 Chargers coming up from out of the middle of the pack. Dale Jarrett, of course, and Dale Earnhart.
Yeah, the pair of Dales there. Dale Jarrett just made a good move the previous lap on Earnhardt. He passed him as he got under him coming off a 4 and went by him as they went into the first turn. Jarrett's car now seems to be hooked up a little better than Earnhardt's. You can see him pulling away right now. So he looks like that he may have made a chassis adjustment during that pit stop. He's running extremely fast right now. One of the quickest cars on the Speedway.
Earnhardt in 6th place, Houston the leader. Ellis is 2nd, Nemechek 3rd. In 4th is Jimmy Hensley, and a lot of smoke from Kyle Petty's car. Down into turn number 1, he's shredded a left front tire.
Yes, he did. You know, it looked like that he had started to slow before the tire blew. We got a caution now. I think some oil came out of that thing, too. It's almost like the car had seized up because Kyle had dropped down out of the way. A couple cars went by him, and then boom, there was an explosion. He could have blown an engine, possibly an oil line broke or something like that, but I believe it was something that caused that tire to shred. other than just running over something on the racetrack.
Oh, a tough break for Kyle Petty, who came in here with such high hopes. He and teammate Todd Bodine. Initially, it was thought that they would each run this car in selected races during the season, but their sponsor decided that, well, we'll run them both at a couple of tracks, in New Hampshire being one of them. So we are under caution for the 6th time today for Kyle Petty on the front straightaway. Our coverage of the Budweiser 300 continues right after this. We're up to the 6th caution of the day at New Hampshire International Speedway. Just had pit stops. 71 laps complete. You see in the middle of the screen, work still continuing. Now Kyle Petty is done and he's back out. We'll take another look at it because Kyle looked to be pretty well up to speed when this incident occurred down the front straightaway. Glenn?
And Kyle's on the right-hand side of the screen. They were dicing for positions there. It's almost like he was psychic and knew something was happening to the car. He pulled over to the inside lane and boom, the tire let go. Doesn't appear that anything else happened to the car. He drove it all the way around the racetrack, got serviced, put a tire on, did not lose a lap, went back out, so he is still in the lead lap.
Well, let's check in his pit with Dick Berggren.
Well, he sure did have a tire go down, Mike Joy, and they are not using interliners here. Take a look at the left front that was on Kyle Petty's car. It's just really kind of come apart. Obviously, something quite untoward happened. This is the very first tire in all these laps of practice, and there have been many hundreds of laps of practice. This is the first tire that I have seen so far that failed. There's some marking around the outside edge here. Might be that he made some contact with another car. No interliners, though. When they go down here at New Hampshire, boy, they go right down to the racetrack, and when Kyle came in, he was skating along the road. Right behind me, the noise you just heard was Todd Bodine. It was his turn to pit, so he just got his round of service. Tommy Houston has been in here. He took on right side tires, and he's back out again, but he's not in the lead anymore.
Tag team pit stops there, and Houston makes his first appointment for service of the day. Bobby Dragon, Jack Sprague back out. Ron Lamell still on pit road there with the hood up. We've completed 72 laps. Tommy Ellis is the leader. Jimmy Hensley now second. Dale Jarrett in third, and Dale Earnhardt in fourth as you see them come past our speed shot at start finish. Morgan Shepherd there in the 5th position, and in one more lap we'll be racing. So single file behind the caution car, lights out, and we're just about set to go. And the fellow who has been looking on with interest here is the driver of the Junior Johnson Budweiser Ford on the Winston Cup circuit, and is up here to watch younger brother Todd go around and also visit with the folks from his sponsor, Anheuser-Busch, and that's Jeff Bodine. What do you think of this racetrack?
Mike, I'm nervous. I've been around the track, and it's like a lot of the drivers have said, a big Martinsville, long straightaways, tight short corners. You got to jam the brakes on. And the fellas, it's been interesting. When somebody wants to take the lead, they just drive in a little deeper, use a little more brakes, and pass the guy that's in front of them.
Well, Martinsville's a track where you've been very successful. I bet you'd love to be out here today.
It's killing me being up here watching, I tell you.
Well, if you sit here with just a bit, and we'll get your thoughts as this race unfolds for a little bit. At lap 74, we're going back to green. Tommy Ellis at the head of the parade. Jimmy Hensley, Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt, Morgan Shepherd, then L.D. Ottinger, and Derek Cope. Cope in that number 10 car just ahead of Michael Waltrip, having a very good run in his first ever Busch Grand National race.
Yeah, and as we stated earlier, Mike, the cars that run well at Martinsville are right up to front of the pack here again. Tommy Ellis leading in car number 99, Jimmy Hensley in second place, car 25, and Dale Jarrett trying to hold off. And you see, look right now, Chuck Bound in the car number 63 making a move on Bobby Labonte. That's the first and second place in the point standings in Busch Grand National.
Bound is coming. He's now up into about 12th position, moving his way back up through the field, the 5-time race winner of the 1990 season.
Yeah, it surprised me that Bound hasn't been more of a factor thus far, but they normally set their car up tight, and it doesn't look like right now that a tight race car is the way to go, so they've probably made a chassis adjustment on the car, and he seems to be hooked up a little better.
Dale Earnhardt there getting a little bit of the back of Dale Jarrett. You think his pants are a little warm there?
Yeah, I imagine. Of course, they're pretty good friends, and Earnhardt has been known just for fun to give you some love taps on the racetrack, so they're just having a little fun out there.
Well, you and I are friends, but doesn't mean I want you to give me a kick in the butt going in the corner like that.
Oh, well, that's friendship in racing terms. When the guy does that to you, doesn't get you too far out of shape, he's a real close friend.
Well, the one thing we're seeing for the first time today is some of these Winston Cuppers making their way to the front.
Yeah, and again, that's after they have run some time on the track and got their cars sorted out. You start to see those guys move to the front again.
Mike Joy with Glenn Jarrett. Dick Berggren is on pit road, and Jeff Bodine has joined us up here in the booth. Jeff, are you surprised at how the Busch regular drivers have dominated this race so far?
No, not at all. These fellas race these cars week in and week out. Winston Cup drivers like Earnhardt and Morgan, Kenny, they only race once in a while, so it's harder for them, even though they have more experience, more track time around the country. It's harder for them to set these Busch Grand National cars up to run as fast as the regular Busch guys. You know, you get the Busch guys on a track like Charlotte or Darlington, now that the tables turn a little bit, the experience of the Winston Cup driver comes into play, and it really helps them there.
We're seeing Tommy Ellis, the race leader. Jimmy Hensley right with him in second. There's a look at Ellis, our leader. And Jimmy Hensley, the Virginia gentleman. Won't ever get those two confused, will you?
No, definitely not. Not in their appearances or in their driving style. Ellis is a very aggressive driver. Jimmy Hensley is very smooth, very methodical. But both ways of driving are working right now because they're running in first and second place.
Chuck Bound just poked his nose out of line there and had a look at the 71 car and decided to think better of it this time by. That's Randy LaJoy out of Norwalk, Connecticut. Back up front now. And here is Bound making the move. He's going to find his way up into the top 10. And LaJoy giving way. Rick Mast is right there.
Wow.
And puts the chrome horn to Randy LaJoy. Hello, how are you? Bobby Hamilton in the 8 car is part of that battle as well.
Randy doesn't get a chance to run with the Busch regulars too often this year, and they're giving him a real nice welcome back.
That's Hamilton, that TIC car, number 8, out of Nashville, Tennessee. And now we're with Jarrett, Earnhardt, and Shepard, the Winston Cup regulars who are trying now. It looks like they're hooked up trying to go to the front.
Yeah, they are. There's the only 2 cars ahead of those were the lead cars with Ellis and Hensley. The next 3 are Winston Cup regulars, and it looks like they're trying to run single file and track down that lead duo.
Rick Mast, and now back up front to Tommy Ellis and Jimmy Hensley. Hensley, having seen him race a lot over the last 15, 20 years, seems to be a patient sort. He's one of those I'm aggressive when I have to kind of drivers. Here's another fellow much in the same mold. Chuck Bound bombs it into the corner on Michael Waltrip.
He's really working well right now. Chuck is making some aggressive moves that we haven't seen anybody be able to do so far today. And I think that Hubert and Jeff Hensley told him it's time to go to the front right now. He ran in the middle of the pack for the first 50, 60 laps. But right now, the tire change that they made and possibly a chassis adjustment looks like it's really working well in his favor. He's probably the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
He's a very talented race driver. He's great with the media and good for a sponsor. He's very the kind of package that if you were selling race car deals, he's the kind of guy you'd want to put in it. He's a heck of a race driver, and he's run all around the country to get to where he is right now, and his hope against hope is to get to Winston Cup and show that he can do it on NASCAR's senior circuit. But first, his immediate goal is winning this Busch Grand National Championship. He's leading in money won, in points, and in races won with 5. And he's nestled up under Daytona 500 winner Derek Cope. And here comes Bound, edging up, quarter panel, rear wheel. Can he make it? Zoom! Slams on there. That's a Top Gun kind of move.
That's a Martinsville type of move. Drive down in a little deeper than the other guy. Use a little more brakes. But Chuck's car is obviously handling well and allowing him to do that. You know, as the races progress, I've noticed the drivers are becoming what it appears to be more comfortable, more confident with the racetrack, what they can do on the racetrack, what they can do with their cars. They've made some adjustments. And the track surface is getting better for them. The groove is getting a little wider. They feel more comfortable making those passes going into the corners and exiting the corners. Early in the race, they were pretty tentative.
You're listening to Jeff Bodine, the driver of the Junior Johnson car on the Winston Cup circuit. Chuck Bound in number 63. He's won here on the road course, the old course at Briar, and he's come through the school of hard knocks to get where he is today in Busch Grand National Racing.
I have. I've paid my dues, you know. I think the fans that have followed Chuck Bound for many years remember the Winston West days and late model sportsman days out west, late model sportsman days down south, and a few stints in the Winston Cup down south. NASCAR North, ACT, Busch Grand National North, now finally Busch Grand National. I'd love to win this championship before I go to Winston Cup, and then I'd like to get an opportunity to go Winston Cup and try to win that championship as well.
Chuck Bound trying to march his way to the front in the Nescafe car, as he's done 5 times this season to win on this circuit. Let's go down to pit road. Dick Berggren.
Well, I'm with Jeff Hensley. He's crew chief for Chuck Bound. Jeff, your man's moving right up through the field. How far can you go?
We can go to the front. Right now, we're about 2/10 quicker than the leader. Earnhardt kind of used the chrome horn going in 3 down there and run us to the rear of the field, but that big black 3 better watch out when that Nescafe 63 gets to him, because we're going by him.
Car's all right. Didn't hurt the car any.
No, it's just kind of frustrating. We're battling for a points championship. We're trying to take it easy and run clean, and, he just goes in the corner down there and blatantly runs right over top of us. And, he does it up there in the Winston Cup. One of these days, we're going to be there, too, and, turnabout fair play.
Well, these guys are anxious to win. Bound says this is the most aggressive, enthusiastic team he's ever run for, and you just heard it.
Here's Kyle Petty on pit road. He's going to take on right side tires this time in his Pontiac. The guys that go around and run for the points, and on the modified tour, they have a name for them. They call them the Pointer Sisters. And there are a bunch of them. They chase points instead of running to win races, but Chuck Bound is not going to go after his championship that way. He's won 5 races and wants a bunch more before the season's over. Getting the jack out, and they're going to all 4 on the Kyle Petty car. Going to put him at least 1 and maybe 2 laps down. Tommy Ellis is the race leader here at New Hampshire International Speedway. 88 laps have been complete as we pause for this regional break. Sports Channel America's coverage of the Budweiser 300. One car is let go. There's the smoke in turn number 2, just ahead of leader Tommy Ellis, who jumps out of the throttle. And going up in smoke was that Rodney Franklin's car.
Yeah, there's no caution. Chuck and leader Tommy Ellis backed completely out when he saw the smoke, and that allowed Jimmy Hensley to drive right by him.
So Hensley went right by Ellis, who had to go through the cloud in turn 2. Oh, and now the caution flag is out.
Yeah, that's just a big error in reaction by Tommy Ellis there. Fortunately, it only cost him 1 position, but that position it cost him was the lead position. Jimmy Hensley just drove right by him when he saw Ellis lift.
Now, we all know how important the spotters are that are up on the roof and in the grandstand trying to spot for these drivers and alert them to trouble on the racetrack. Could that have been a miscue?
I would imagine probably that somebody yelled trouble, 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 and he backed out.
Well, you saw Tommy Ellis go high. It looked like there's some oil down there. It looked like his car slid up. Of course, as slippery as this track is, and being new and knowing that the outside groove is slippery, Tommy backed out. He didn't want to get up into those marbles. Hensley got a bite. He must have missed the oil or something and went on by. But
let's take another look at it. There's Franklin's car right down on the white line in the middle of the corner. A lot of smoke and gosh knows what on the racetrack. And the next car to him is Ellis. Neither Ellis nor the spotter had a chance to react and see what else was out there, but it is feeding time at the zoo. Dale Jarrett, Chuck Bound, Dale Earnhardt, Ellis, Cope, Shepard, Ottinger are all on pit road. See where Dick Berggren is.
But Jimmy Hensley has stayed on the racetrack, and so has Michael Waltrip. So they will retain track position. Ellis getting right side tires, also getting an adjustment on the wedge. Dale Earnhardt in for right side tires. Dale Jarrett in for right side tires. Earnhardt's going to take 4. Ellis is going to take 4. Up and down pit road, they've decided that it's time to take 4 tires. Just about everybody is doing that, and it appears as if they're mostly taking wedge out of the cars. The cars are pushing a little bit. Turns are very, very tight here. They're making adjustments for that. Finally, Ellis gets going. Earnhardt's gotten out ahead of it, and so have a bunch of other people.
And it's a very congested pit lane. Although it's 4 lanes wide, the pit stalls individually are quite short. So there's a bit of jockeying back and forth to get in and out quickly. And clearly, the driver who comes into the pits first and is done first will have a big advantage trying to get away. Now, Tommy Ellis, am I going to come in the pits? No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm. Yes, I am. And here's Earnhardt sneaks by him down there as Ellis was late to commit. Bound and Jarrett also going past Ellis, who decided late, well, if they're coming, I guess I ought to also. Jimmy Hensley in now. He has waited a lap after the rest of the leaders to make his stop, and perhaps two. Everybody else coming in, he'll decide to also. Here's Dick.
Boy, I can't figure that one, Mike Joy. He should have come in when everybody else came in. This is absolutely going to put him at the tail end of the line. Jimmy Hensley taking not good advantage of that particular caution flag, but perhaps they looked up and down pit road and saw how many guys were taking tires, and pressure tires definitely are faster tires. We're also getting to the point where you're really starting to learn more about the racetrack. We've got 94 laps in now, so they can adjust the cars with the tires too. They're now getting to know what they're doing. A late stop for Jimmy Hensley.
Dynamite David Dion from Hudson, New Hampshire on pit road. So too is Kenny Bouchard, and it took them just about 30 seconds to put tires on Hensley's car and get him out. Here's Kenny Bouchard. A look at him. Ed Carroll owns that car, the owner of Riverside Park Speedway down in Massachusetts. And also making an appearance on pit road, Dana Patton from Enfield, New Hampshire, who's running the complete Busch series and is the leading rookie contender at this juncture.
Yeah, Dana has a new sponsor he has for the past couple of weeks, the Very Fine Fruit Juices. That's a company based out of Boston, and they've come on for a 2-race stint. He's trying to talk them into going at it for the full year, so we wish them well. We're glad to have them in the sport and hope that Dana can land a full-time sponsor. I think he's a very talented driver and has got a real future in the sport.
Jeff Bodine?
Mike, you know, we saw a little confusion on some of the drivers. Should I pit? Shouldn't I pit? We do that even in Winston Cup. A lot of times we'll say, well, we'll do what the leader does. Well, what happens if you're the leader? You have to make the decision. Do we pit or do we stay out? And it's a strategy. It's very important in racing. You know, I'm with a great team right now that we don't wait for the other guy to do something. We do it first.
That's Jeff Bodine, the driver of the Junior Johnson Budweiser Ford. We will be back to New Hampshire International Speedway right after these messages. At New Hampshire International Speedway, we're under the 7th caution of the day, and there's a look at them. Dave Resendi's spin brought out the first one. Davey Johnson, blown engine. Then Resendi's hit the wall. Caution 4 for Ron Lamell crashing in turn number 1. Then Jeff Spraker stalled his car. Kyle Petty cut down a left front tire, and Rodney Franklin losing an engine. Those are the caution flags thus far, as we're about a third of the way through. Under caution and after the pit stops, Michael Waltrip has put the Kool-Aid car out front with 1 lap to go before we go back to green. Rick Mast is second. Ed Ferry running third. The modified champ, Mike McLaughlin, is fourth. And Joe Nimchek is up there in fifth, having a very impressive drive as we near the 1/3 mark of this event. And Jimmy Hensley really got caught out on that pit stop. I wonder, Tommy Ellis was so late to commit to pit road. Did Hensley think that everybody would stay out and then be stuck and not be able to make the left turn and go on by? We'll find out from Dick Berggren, who's making his way down to the Hensley pit as we get 1 lap to go on the field. Mike Waltrip up front. Kyle Petty will be trying to get one of his laps back up there on the outside line.
Jeff, do you think possibly that Hensley just got snookered there?
Oh, we try to snooker as many as we can when we're out there, and it looks like he might have now. Hopefully Dick can come back with some strategy moves on their part, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
We'll get the restart, and then we'll go down to Dick Berggren for his report. We are back under green. Mike Waltrip, Rick Mast right with him, and Tommy Houston is very slow coming up to speed down in turn 1.
Yeah, he drove to the inside there for a moment like something happened. Now he seems to be back up to full power, so maybe he just missed a gear or something.
Back straightaway, Rick Mast, second place car, wants the lead from Michael Waltrip, the 4th man to lead this race. Kyle Petty back in line, and he's laps down.
Well, Mike Waltrip is glad to see himself back out on the lead point. They've had a lot of problems with that car since they got here. They have basically changed everything under the car before the race this morning. That's awfully unnerving to a race driver to have the crew come and tell you, well, Mike, we changed everything on it today. Go out there and see how it feels.
Well, that's true, but Michael was pretty confident they might have found a problem this morning. They found the rear end was out of line, and they lined it back up the way it should be.
Back in the pack, Tommy Houston is slowing at turn number 3.
I think Houston dropped the valve on the restart. I saw a little puff of smoke come out as he pulled down. Then he went back up to speed, but the car will not run down the straightaway. If we get a chance, Dick Berggren might check with Scott or Marty Houston to see just what's wrong with the number 6.
What a tough break for Houston in the Rosa Stores Buick. He is just going to idle around here, looks like the rest of the day, without a chance to challenge the front runners. Bobby Hamilton going past. And there's Jamie Obey going 3 wide right through the needle. And Obey shows the form that made him Busch North champion 2 years in a row here in car number 41.
That's a pretty bold move. I don't think Bobby Hamilton in the 8 car even knew he was there. He just drove right by both of them like they were sitting still.
Hovey's going to come up now on the Purelator car of Derek Cope. And he's moving his way through the field quite well. Mike Waltrip at the front. Rick Mast is second. Back in third is Ed Ferry out of Saxonburg, Pennsylvania. New name at the front of the Busch Grand National ranks.
Yeah, Ed has run a few races earlier in the season. We haven't seen him in the last few weeks, but he's certainly doing a good job here today. That car, of course, you know, after we come back out of caution, you see a lot of different cars up front. These guys all seem to be running pretty competitive speeds. You get them up front there behind the guy running real quick laps, and he goes right along with them.
Here is Tommy Ellis, and Ellis is off the pace. In turn 3, Todd Bodine got underneath him, and they did a little of what they call rubbing. Kyle up underneath Tommy, and Tommy has not shown the form or the speed he had earlier in this event. In fact, it looked like going down the back straightaway last time that he might have dropped the valve.
Well, he seems to be up to speed right now. Jeff, do you think that was just a Bodine family move put on him by Todd?
No, Tommy's having trouble. Several cars have passed him, and it appears like his car's not handling. That's what can happen sometimes when you stop and change tires. You don't get the right stagger back on the car. Or maybe they only changed 2, Dale, and you know it takes a while to get the tires sized out, warmed up, stretched out, and he might start running strong here in a couple of laps. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Well, he's definitely not running nearly as quickly now. The car's not working nearly as well as it was before that last caution. And I think you're probably right. I think they've messed the stagger up on the car, which has badly affected the handling.
Dick Berggren?
Well, Jimmy Hensley, Mike, just apparently had a problem at that pit stop. They were convinced that they saw a red flag at the entrance to pit road. Now, all year long, and in fact last year, NASCAR has been having times when the pits are closed. Hensley saw what he thought to be a red flag, said the pit is closed, I'm not coming in. That's why he didn't pit when everybody else pitted. Meanwhile, Tommy Houston has not lost a cylinder, but he sure is in the process of losing a clutch. That's very unfortunate because the cylinder, well, you can just keep plugging along here all afternoon, but a clutch, ordinarily when they start going, they go all the way. They may be able to help a little bit, but not very much in a clutch problem.
Boy, he'll have to baby it, and one more pit stop could be the end of the day for Houston. At the front, Michael Waltrip in number 30, and what I kidded his PR man, Tom Cotter, is the most uniquely styled car in the race, and it's about to be out of the lead. Rick Mast comes thundering up and under, and the Raven Boats machine, well, didn't have to jump off the corner.
Oh, he made a heck of a move on it to get under him in the middle of the corner. I thought he'd drive by him with no problem. Now he moves to the front.
He's got it.
He had the inside line going into turn 1, and that's the place to be. You don't want to be on the outside. And Michael just kind of slid back and let Rick go on by.
But you know, here's another similarity to Martinsville or Michigan. The car coming off the bottom of the corner doesn't have the RPM or the steam that the guy in the outside lane does.
You lose a little momentum, and with these V6 engines and these long straightaways, they're pulling a gear that won't over-rev the engine at the end of the straightaway. So coming off the corners, they don't have any excess power to play with. So the guy that keeps the momentum up off the corner is going to go faster down the straightaway.
Now, if you look closely at Waltrip's car there in second place, as I say, we were chiding Tom Cotter because they've got 2 sponsors on that car, one of whose logo is red, and the other one is yellow. Kool-Aid on the front of the car, and I guess that's Country Time drink mix on the back. And they had to get a little color into every little bit of the paint job, and well, they did a unique way of doing it.
Unique is the best adjective we can come up with.
Oh, well.
It is colorful.
Yes,
very colorful.
Yeah, but it's got you guys talking about it. So the sponsors love that. They're saying, keep it up.
All well. Up front, Rick Mast, the Raven Boats Buick, car number 22, at the head of this field. Mast, longtime Busch Grand National competitor, the oft-told story about how the farm boy from Virginia traded a cow for his first race car and came along on the dirt tracks and then to pavement, then to stardom in this series. He's had forays into Winston Cup, but he's doing well and leading this race. Rick Mast at the front. Time for the 100-lap Quaker State race summary, brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil, one tough motor oil. Mike Waltrip was the leader at 100 laps. There have been 6 lead changes and 6 cautions for a total of 24 laps. Now lap 109 on the board, and Rick Mast is the man at the head of the parade, with Waltrip sitting second and Ed Ferry in third in the number 49 car out of Saxonburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and running fifth is a 51 car, Mike McLaughlin, former national modified champion, doing a heck of a job. You know, he had a little problem earlier on, but didn't lose a lap. Now he's come back up and running in fourth spot.
Very talented young driver out of Waterloo, New York. In his dirt track days, they called him Magic Shoes. And Jeff Bodine, a young fellow that you've run against, heavy in the modifieds.
Yeah, a little bit. I was moving out of modified just as Mike was coming in, so but he's done awful well in that division, and now he's trying to move into Busch Grand National, and I'm sure he has sights set on Winston Cup someday.
So McLaughlin in that 51 car, just back of the leaders, running right behind Ed Berry's machine.
You see the 22 car of Rick Mast still leading the 30 car of Michael Waltrip. Remember that Mast, this is no consolation to Tommy Houston, but Mast is running one of Houston's engines just installed this morning, so it's a sure fact now, as well as Houston was running, and Mast is now, that they certainly have a good engine program.
Chuck Bound just passing Elton Sawyer, and Bound in that Nescafe machine percolating along and moving his way back up toward the front of the field. He is in the top 10 and is, I believe, at 8th, make that 9th position right now. He's been struggling toward the front, just can't quite get there. Jeff Bodine, what's it like to have to ride around the middle of the pack all day? Know you've got a good car, know you can pass people, but the timing of the caution flags, whatever happens, you just can't ever get that thing out in the wind and in front.
Patience, you need patience, because this is a long race. A lot of things can happen. You know there's going to be cautions. There should be opportunities to make that ground up other than just passing and driving too aggressively and maybe getting in trouble. So you really need to have some patience. Just wait for that right opportunity to make up the ground. You can't always do it under the green, trying to hammer your way to the front. You can get in trouble that way.
But Bound has done a good job of coming up through the pack. Good, talented young race driver. And when he gets to Winston Cup, he has a good chance to become a star in this business.
Yeah, Mike, I think Chuck Bound will be the next Busch Grand National star to make the jump to Winston Cup races. There has been some talk already about forming a team entered and maintained by Hubert and Jeff Hensley, who only maintain this car now. So I think in the very, very near future that you'll see Chuck Bound in the Winston Cup ride.
So Bound trying to get to the front in 9th place. There are the leaders, Rick Mast and Mike Waltrip. Mast in 22, Waltrip in 30. At the head of the parade, Ed Berry from Pennsylvania. Right now the surprise 3rd place runner. From New Hampshire International Speedway, we pause for a regional break. Sports Channel America's coverage of the Bud 300 continues after this.
Side down there.
Jeff Bodine talking about what's going on here. A little bit of double file stuff that we didn't think we might see this early in the race. We thought we'd see a lot of passing in the straightaways, but now they're starting to make 2 grooves out of these corners, Jeff.
Especially down here 3 and 4. We've been watching down there the last few laps, and guys are making the outside pass move. 1 and 2 still looks a little slippery on that outside groove, but they're moving it up. They're working the groove up and giving themselves more room to operate out there. Maybe by the end of the race, we'll have both ends working good on the outside.
Here's a look back through the field about where your favorite driver is running in this event. Ricky Craven making a pit stop. The standout young driver from the Busch North Series, who was the quickest qualified of those. There's Harry Gant up the 22nd spot. And Dale Earnhardt mired back in 24th position. Now this was after a round of pit stops under caution. Ken Schrader, haven't seen much of Kenny today. And there's Earnhardt running with Tommy Ellis. Randy LaJoy, Jimmy Hensley after that missed pit stop well back. Dana Patton, Kenny Bouchard.
Saw Earnhardt put a bold move on Ellis there going into 3. As Jeff was saying, they're really getting brave now diving into the 3rd turn. They've got the cars hooked up. And they know there's a white line back there that they can kind of gauge as to how far they can go in that corner. They don't have that luxury down into turn 1, so I think that's one of the reasons you're seeing a lot of passing in turn 3.
Back up front with leader Rick Mast. The Raven Boats car, that's a Buick, and you notice that big wide cow catcher snout on that Buick. Mike Waltrip with the Pontiac, a little different kind of nose design for the Grand Prix. The Buick teams have done, looks like a little creative surgery with their nose design. The bumper doesn't stick out so far from the grill as I kind of thought it did the last time I was in a Buick showroom, but then again, we're the observers and not the inspectors.
We might have to get Dick Beatty and the Winston Cup inspection crew up here to watch these Busch Grand National guys. They are getting innovative with the aerodynamics of some of these race cars. They're getting smarter is what it is. They're learning how to form and shape the bodies, the different body styles to make it work the best on the short tracks and even the speedways.
There's Tommy Ellis's Buick 99.
Yeah, Ellis is way off the pace. He's got a problem. In fact, he's turning and coming down pit road right now.
He was in the midst of a big knot of cars that included Dale Jarrett trying to move his way back up front.
Well, we had noticed that Tommy had picked the pace up. He'd passed Earnhardt and a bunch of cars, and then all of a sudden he started slowing down again, and they're going to change the right side tires on this stop.
Well, the John Jackson crew, after winning a national championship, Dame Fortune has not smiled on them.
No, it's been a tough season on them. They just haven't had seemingly anything go right this year.
As you see, still looking for his first win of the year. 2 tires done, going to get 4.
Now, those two, what they do, you change the right side. You think, well, I have a flat or a tire going bad. Go out and change those right sides. If you don't see a flat tire or something wrong, you automatically go to the left side, change the left side tires, because the driver says there's something wrong. There usually is something wrong.
And with the short track setups on these cars there and the low bank on this track, they're not running the inner liner on the tire, so a tire down would be immediately apparent, but a slow leak might not be.
Well, he was not happy. I think Jeff mentioned that he was not running well at all. I don't think the car felt good to him at all after that last pit stop. And did they not change 4 tires then?
I believe so. Let's check in with Dick Berger, and he knows for sure. Dick?
You guys have been doing a great job of calling this race this afternoon for that team. Indeed, Mike, they did change 4 tires the last time around. Indeed, both of you had guessed that the tires had not yet properly come in. They were waiting for the stagger to come in. You were right on that one. And then you said the stagger had come in. Yep, it sure had. But what just happened now was that stagger that came in went away big time. The left rear tire picked up a leak, went down, too much stagger. Tommy Ellis came in, changed 4 tires to 4 sticker tires, 4 brand new ones. Boy, that was a tough break. He has been running well, but he can't have things like this happen to him here if he expects to win today.
As we look at the leader, Rick Mast, Benny Parsons gave the best explanation I ever heard of stagger and how it works. He says when you blow up 2 balloons, they blow up at different rates. And a car is spun, Dave Dion. Oh, the Ford driver from the Berlin Ford out of New Hampshire has spun, and we'll get caution number 8 on the race today.
I got to give a great call to Bobby Dragon. He made a tremendous move to miss Dion. As he came up on him, Dion was coming down the track. Dragon had nowhere to go. He got the car stopped, and just at the last split second made a hard dive beneath Dion. No contact made whatsoever.
So just a harmless spin for Dion, one of the most talented drivers that this state's ever produced. And Bobby Dragon, same could be said for Dragon of Vermont. But I was telling you about Benny Parsons. He says you get a package of balloons and you blow them up. And they all expand at different rates, and tires do the same thing. They expand to different sizes under heat and under air pressure, and that's how you end up with stagger and how it can stay up, how it can get off, go away, and come back. It all depends on the expansion rate of each individual tire, which is different.
That's one reason why we like in Winster Cup racing Goodyear's innovation of the radial racing tire. The staggers don't change, and the construction of a radial tire doesn't allow that. It's built at one size, and they stay there. It doesn't matter how much air you put in the tires or how long you run them, they do not change, and eventually we'll probably see it in Busch Grand National.
Let's go to Rick Bass pit with Dick Berger.
Boy, this is really interesting, Mike, the way this is shuffling around. Mast has pitted, so has L.D. Ottinger, but virtually everybody else who is in contention to win this thing has stayed back out on the racetrack. Mast is going to take 4 tires on his car, so is Ottinger. Everybody else is going to stick with what they've had all along. So these guys are going to lose track position for sure, but they're going to have fresh rubber. By the way, very importantly, we're on lap 126 right now. There's a $1,500 bonus. Halfway point, that's lap 150.
Mike Waltrip getting service, going back out. Bobby Dragon getting left sides now. Kenny Schrader getting 4 tires. Sprague going out, and the hood is up on the Dion car after that spin. He's still on pit road. Tommy Houston, little smoke coming out from underneath his car. 126 laps have been completed here at New Hampshire International Speedway. We're under the 8th caution of the day, and our coverage for the Budweiser 300 will continue right after these messages. Working the 8th caution of the day, and Joe Nemechek has assumed the lead. He's driven a tremendous race here and is now in the front spot. Chuck Bound finds himself in 2nd position after the round of pit stops. Tom Peck in 3rd. He's in the top 10 in Busch points. Elton Sawyer and the Busch North champion the last 2 years, Jamie Obey. And in that whole list of top 5, even though we've been shuffled through pit stops, as yet a Winston Cupper not among them. Let's have another look at what happened here to the Dave Dion car. Oops.
Yeah, you can see Dave spinning. You see 77 Bobby Dragon just barely gets by. I tell you, it looked easy right there because Dion had about stopped. Also, that car, 33, just that's Ed Barrier. He just barely made it by. In fact, he had to hit the dirt to do it. But, you know, that car is running in excess of 100 miles an hour out there in that turn. And to make that decision, it's a snap judgment. You got to decide, well, I can go low, I can go high. You don't have a chance to rethink it. You got to go with what you decided.
And let's also give Dion presence of mind for not cutting a wheel and sending that car down into the infield. Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, the problem, and probably what sent Dion into his difficulty to begin with, was that the car is overheating, so they just added some water to it. In fact, they've added water on 2 successive pit stops. So let's tip our hats up to Dave Dion and his pit crew. By the way, these guys are among the most popular competitors in New England, and no wonder. Everybody else buys their race cars. These guys build them. And instead of going out to some big expensive engine builder, they use 2 local guys, one of whom they can get some of the stuff done with, and they get what they can get done there. Then they put the engine in the back of their pickup truck, take it to the other guy, put it on his dynamometer, and they do all this work themselves to save money. Dion calls himself a freelance stock car driver. Let me tell you, when this guy comes to town, the fans stand and cheer because nobody works any harder than they do, and that's for sure.
And as you see, he is a loyalist. He is one of the only late model competitors who throughout his career in New England has driven a Ford automobile. And that T-Bird, the Berlin City Ford. Evidence of that, his latest racer, this Ford Thunderbird. Guy sitting alongside who drives a Ford, and before he goes, we'll get his pick. We've been kind of batting this back and forth, Jeff Bodine, whether or not a Busch Grand National regular or a Winston Cupper has the best chance to win this thing some 170 laps from now.
Well, I think the best chance goes to the Busch Grand National guys. They run these cars every week. This is just a big short track, kind of a big Martinsville. So it's a little tougher for the Winston Cup guys to get their cars handling good. So I have to give a nod to the Busch guys. I like to see a Busch guy win, unless I'm out there. Then I want to win.
Okay. Glenn Jarrett?
Well, I like what Jeff says, but I think that if the numbers of cautions cut down or reduced later on in the latter part of the race, I think it's going to fall in the hands of the Winston Cup guys because I think pit work is going to become very critical, and I think they definitely have better pit crews.
Oh, I don't know. Jeff, you want to counter that?
Well, maybe a few of them do, but I can't even say that because these Busch Grand National guys have really stepped their programs up with the sponsorships coming in, with this TV coverage that's brought them in. So they have good pit crews now. The top runners, the top 10 or maybe 15 Busch guys have good pit crews.
Okay, that's Jeff Bodine, the driver of the Junior Johnson Budweiser Report. Thanks for coming in and joining us for a bit here. Happy to have you here, and I know you and the Budweiser folks have a lot of guests downstairs as title sponsor of the race, so we'll let you go, but thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Mike. I want to say hi to Kathy, Matt, Barry, Donna, Jeffrey, I love you. We'll see you in a little while.
Okay, just leave that 20 at the door for the commercial. No, happy to have you with us, Jeff Bodine. We're going to stay under caution here for a bit at New Hampshire International Speedway. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, we said hello to everybody, but we're also saying hello to the rain, Mike Joy. It's not going to be much. I can look over my shoulder and I can see blue sky almost everywhere, but right over the top of my head, why it's raining, and it's raining reasonably decently. So I'm sure that's why the caution is here. I don't think it's going to slow this race up too terribly much. Just a passing shower. They've had some this day in other areas of New Hampshire. These things happen all the time in this part of New England. Watch, it's going to just blow on over. We'll get back to the race. I'm not worried about it.
131 laps have been completed, and Dick's nearly a native. He lives in Ipswich, Mass, just down the road a piece toward Boston. 131 on the board. 150 will be a race. 300 is the advertised distance. As you know, they have to go halfway to have the race called complete, but we've got plenty of hours of daylight here. We're going to get this one in. On pit road, once again, Tommy Houston, and they're checking the right rear and the right front of the car. Didn't like those tires, I guess, that he was out there running on under the caution, so they've got to put a whole new set on it.
Well, with the lengthy caution like this, Mike, you can do a lot of things to the car. You know, Tommy had a clutch problem, and now they're having some problems deciding whether he should take off or whether he shouldn't. He thought he should, and they thought he shouldn't. So
well, it looked like they already had those rear lug nuts loosened up. So now if they're going to send him out before the pace car comes by, and that's imminent, they're going to have to tighten him back up. Now that is not going to help that clutch any as Houston rolls to speed. Here comes the pace car. The man with the stop-go sign still has the go sign toward Tommy, and he does get away. It saves him a lap, but I hope he didn't burn that clutch up in the process.
Well, you know, they used the first few pit stops during this caution period to cool that clutch down, so it looked like they had the thing releasing a little bit there because he took off pretty quickly, and you know, it won't take very long to find out on the next restart if indeed it did cause him some further problems. We're going to be under caution a few more laps because there is some real light rain falling here. You know, this rain, the cloud cover right now has helped to keep this racetrack very tight. several of the competitors early this morning thought that the racetrack might get a little slick, but some of those with more experience felt like that, nah, there's going to be a cloud cover. It's not going to be that hot. We're going to set the cars up in a neutral mode, neither pushing nor loose. And you've seen a lot of adjustments made thus far in the race during the pit stops, and those guys that have been able to make those adjustments are the ones that are able to stay up front.
Joe Nemechek is the man up front of the moment in car number 87. Chuck Bound right behind him in 63. Tom Peck out of Maryland in that blue number 96 on the inside line. That's where the leaders are, and now they're getting one to go. So Tom Peck is the third place car there in blue on the right side of your screen. In fourth, Elton Sawyer finding his way to the front in the Gwaltney's car. Fifth, the Busch North champ Jamie Obey. Looks like Kenny Wallace in sixth, Bobby Hamilton seventh. In eighth is Dave Mader driving the Ronald Cooper car. Ninth is Dale Earnhardt. 10th, Bobby Labonte. 11th, Dale Jarrett. 12th, Jimmy Hensley. 13th, Morgan Shepherd, and all of these are unofficial. 14th, Kelly Moore out of Scarborough, Maine. Again, it's our unofficial look at the field. Drivers that made pit stops, including the leaders of moments ago, Rick Mast, Mike McLaughlin was up there, Ed Ferry. They're now well back in the pack after pit stops.
And you see the car on the outside of leader Joe Nemechek. That's the 99 car of Tommy Ellis. Remember, Tommy made that unscheduled pit stop for a 4-tire change. He did go a lap down. Under NASCAR rules, you have a double file restart. On this racetrack, the lap cars go to the outside. So Ellis is sitting up there in prime position, ready to try to get that lap back, and I'm betting he doesn't.
You don't like the weather in New England? Wait a minute, it'll change. It has. We're ready to go back to green. Joe Nemechek at the front of the field, driving number 87 out of Lakeland, Florida. A master machine and tool Buick for Nemechek, and he's going to give Tommy Ellis not a lot of room coming down the front straightaway. The blue car is Tom Peck. Yes, they're 4 wide at New Hampshire International. On the inside of that 4 wide battle is going to be Kenny Wallace as he's going to come up with the spot. One car stuffed to the outside there, gets rustled up a bit, and Ricky Craven hits Bobby Labonte. 4 cars go smashing, and Labonte is on his roof, flipping back over. And it looks like 8 cars are in it in turn 2. That is Labonte, certainly the most severely damaged of the bunch. Car number 28, Ricky Craven, did not come up to speed in the middle of turn 2. Ellis got his lap back, but the interest is at the second corner. Michael Waltrip is stopped. Bobby Labonte is there. Now pulling away is Dale Jarrett. Heavy damage on the Jarrett car.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. Dana Patton was up high, had gotten out of the groove, was making his way back, and it all unfolded in front of him. He's got some front end damage. You can see the left front there.
And the 73 car is the other car involved. That's the modified driver. I'll get it in a second. Nope. Excuse me.
No, 73, maybe 72. Ron Bouchard. Yeah, that's who it is.
Resendiz.
Oh,
Dave
79.
Resendiz?
Okay.
79, thank you. Yeah, Dave Resendiz. And Resendiz is okay. He's out of his car. But Ricky Craven was running very slowly in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and somebody got to Bobby Labonte and just turned him over. Here's Bobby being helped from his car. He's okay. Dale Jarrett, the whole right side of the Nestle's Crunch car has earned its name. It is crunched. Labonte, it looked like he came up on Craven, went right up over top of him. We'll have to have another look at it. Dana Patton's car has a damaged left front. And boy, talk about crunch. Boy, he got everything but the crunch sign.
Yeah, he did. That's ironic. That's a real shame.
Boy, tough break for Dale Jarrett, for all the drivers involved in this. Resendiz car still up against the wall. Ricky Craven, his car against the wall. Let's have a look. Now there's Craven's car in blue going very slow. He's getting passed by just about everybody, and he loses it.
Yeah, he cuts right down into Bobby Labonte. Bobby hit him with the right front and just turned him right up on the roof, just all at once. You see the other cars there, just victims of circumstance. You saw Dale Jarrett,
Morgan Shepherd.
There's the 25 car of
Hensley.
Hensley was involved in it. Morgan Shepherd. See Labonte's car just continuing to roll over. It's just one of those unfortunate things when a restart, everybody's all bunched up, jammed together. When something happens, it triggers a chain reaction collision.
Great testimony to the safety of the roll cages in these cars. You see a lot of damage, but not to the cockpit area of Bobby Labonte's car. We pause now for this regional break. Sports Channel America's coverage of the Bud 300 continues after these messages. Dave Resendiz will get a ride back to pit road in the ambulance. He was going to walk it back and think about what happened in that one. He was an innocent victim of a crash that was triggered. There's Kenny Schrader's car going behind the wall for some further work. It has not been a good day for Schrader in his Busch Grand National ride. You see he got a little punched in the back bumper there, but the problems right now are under the hood. The driver of the Kodiak Chevrolet. And Bobby Dragon is against the wall, and he will go up on the hook. I didn't see Dragon's car, but it's well back over the tunnel at turn number 2. And Dragon getting in just in the tail end of that. The most recent Dragon wagon. Here's Ricky Craven's car. And from the backstretch camera, Bobby Labonte going up and over. And you'll see the melee develop as everybody gets turned around and into it. Here's Morgan Shepherd, the yellow car, sideways, face on. Boy, Jimmy Hensley was up in it, got a good piece of this one sliding at us as Labonte continues to barrel roll side over side as the front and rear portions of that car take the impact.
See the 71 car of Randy LaJoie down in the dirt there. Yep.
Shepard's already hit the inside concrete there. There's another look. Look at the blue car way left side of the screen, just out of screen. And now here's everybody rushing to judgment.
You can see Dana Patton up on the top right of the screen. He just caught right up in there. There's the 28 car that triggered the thing of Craven. 86 Patton.
Kelly Moore on the right side.
You see in the top left middle of the screen, Dale Jarrett was the meat and the sandwich there between Jimmy Hensley and another car. It just really has destroyed several of these race cars. That's a real shame.
Well, I don't know if you know, I like the Nestle's folks a lot, and but to put crunch on the side of the race cars, it's rhetorically asking for trouble. Okay,
asking for trouble. We got red flag conditions now on lap 138. The cars have been stopped. This is enable to enable the safety crews to completely clean up the racetrack, get all the debris off, the fluids that have leaked out of the car. This just stops everything for a while to get them to enable them to do their jobs more efficiently.
And we're still 13 laps shy of the halfway point in this race. There is Labonte's car. The roll cage structure doing its job, holding up extremely well. The front end of the car took a good bit of the impact. And despite was that 2 and maybe 3 barrel rolls, everything else stayed intact. Dick Bergman will be getting us an update on the drivers that were involved, but we saw most of them able to walk away from the incident. And again, as soon as we have further word, we will pass it along. But involved, certainly Ricky Craven, Bobby Labonte, Dave Rezendes, Dana Patton was in it, Dale Jarrett, Morgan Shepherd sustained some damage, Jimmy Hensley, Bobby Dragon. All of those cars, and at least half of those will be done for the day. There is Dale Jarrett's car. And did it get crunched?
Yeah, you know, right now under NASCAR rules, under red flag conditions, they have to stop work on that car. They cannot continue to work on it while the race is red flagged. It's awfully frustrating to sit there to know you can be doing things to repair the car, get it back in the race, but under the rules, they can't touch it.
Well, on the other hand, the good part of that is while they can't touch it, they don't lose any ground. They can look at that car and they can be all over it figuring what they need to do, have all the tools lined up and be at the ready, so when they restart the cars under yellow, they can go right back to work. Actually, it's going to save them some time.
It's kind of like study hall.
Yeah, but this is one exam I don't want to take.
No, there you see the 28 car of Ricky Craven being loaded onto. They couldn't throw that car in with a record. It is really badly damaged.
He had such a good run going. The fellow who was the best qualified of the Busch Grand National North drivers. He's out of Pembroke, New Hampshire, and started this race in 7th position. And was just doing a tremendous job running up toward the front. Take a look at his season. In 6 starts, 1 top 5 finish, 3 top 10s, 14th in the point standings, but he won't gain any ground on that today.
It's unusual to see these fast cars sitting there dead still. This is the 2nd straight race that we have had that has gone under red flag conditions. We've had it for rain, we've had it for wrecks. If you folks were tuning in, we had a major crash at Volusia County on our last telecast. We had to stop the race, and now here we are again stopped. So we don't ask for these things, we don't plan them, but we sure have seen some exciting racing and some really bad wrecks the last couple of telecasts that we've had.
Let's get down to Dick Berggren for an update on the accident. Dick?
Well, the Care Center people have told us, Mike, that everybody has walked in. Craven and Labonte are both okay. Look at this car, though, how well the roll cage held up. You can see how pushed in the side of it is, and even up into the front end of the car. Tore the hood off. Everything is well pushed in here in the nose, but the key to it is the superstructure of the car, the basic integrity of the car that protects the driver. Well, that's all intact, and that's the whole deal. This is a shame. He'd used this car in almost every race he had run this year. He sure didn't need to have a thing like this happen.
Dick, they've had some tough times in the NASCAR modified division this year because the cars won't absorb the impact, that they don't bend up when they collide. But right here, it looks like this car absolutely did the job that was intended for it in this situation.
Well, it sure did. It held up the way it's supposed to, Mike, and you don't want these cars to collapse. They've got to collapse some, but they can't collapse around the driver, and that's just what this automobile did. The sheet metal bent, came down, came around, but the driver compartment is what has to stay intact, and it surely did on this automobile. I'm going to see if I can find Bobby Labonte, his father. Bob, can you tell me, how's your son? How is Bobby doing?
His knees a little sore, but that's all right. He's all right.
You walking around, he talking to you?
Well, they won't let him up yet, but he'll be up pretty quick.
Okay, that's what we wanted to hear. He's okay. That's Bobby Labonte's dad, Bob Sr.
So we're under the red flag here at New Hampshire International Speedway. We've completed 137 laps. There's Dana Patton's car out of Enfield, New Hampshire, a Busch Series regular, though he competed for a number of years on the Busch Grand National North Circuit. And out in turn number 2, they are still picking up debris and bits and pieces for this crash that at our last count involved 8 cars with some damage, and will put at least 3 of those out of the race. So quite an inaugural for this 1 mile speedway.
That's the kind of action you really don't want to see.
They're parked, and we'll get back to it here in just a moment at New Hampshire International Speedway. Here's a look at the top 5. 137 laps have been completed. Back through 10th position, Dale Earnhardt running there in 8th. Jeff Burton up into the top 10. And through 15th position, Gant, Bouchard, and Presley. We'll be back to New Hampshire right after these messages. We're under the red flag at New Hampshire International Speedway. Mike Joy with Glenn Jarrett, Dick Berggren, the editor of Stock Car Racing Magazine, down on pit road, where this race has been stopped for an 8-car crash coming out of turn number 2 at about lap 135. We had a brief rain shower. They put the cars back under the green, and Ricky Craven's car was not coming up to speed. He may have cut down a tire the way the car drifted along in front of Bobby Labonte, who went airborne, and they stacked up 8 cars, about a dozen spun, 8 into the incident, and the other cars are lined up out here down in turn 1 of this 1 mile super speedway, waiting for this race to be restarted once cleanup efforts are concluded out at turn number 2.
Just across the
interesting, Dale Earnhardt, we asked just how difficult it was coming into a brand new racetrack to learn the line here.
Super Speedway racing should be.
Well, it's been great. You know, I've been up here a couple times, ran short tracks, and I ran short track Friday night over Lee, and fans turned out great, and we had a great autograph session. Started 18th over there and still won the race, so we had a great night. I had Kenny Schrader over there in race 2, so they got a lot of race fans up here. They're on a smaller scale with a lot of small racetracks around, but still the race fans are there. I'd like to see them bring Winston Cup up here. I think we could have a big turnout for it.
Dale and daughter Taylor Nicole telling us about the reception they received up here. My mistake, wrong question. But he and his daughter there, they had quite a time. He was Wednesday at West Springfield, Massachusetts, the Central Chevrolet, where the dealership owner had to be convinced by the parts manager, Wayne Carroll, who's been a big backer of racing for years, that a Dale Earnhardt autograph session might draw a few people to the dealership. They had 2,000 people show up over a 2-hour period to get autographs from Earnhardt in the middle of Massachusetts. Just shows the draw of Winston Cup racing and a fellow like Earnhardt.
Absolutely. If he had called me, I could have testified to that, because when we had the grand opening of our Honda store, we had Dale Earnhardt come up, and we had 2,500 people. Had more people than obviously we had room to put them.
My gosh.
He is a tremendous draw, very, very popular. It just shows the popularity of the sport throughout the country.
Okay, let's go down to where the cars are stopped along turn 1. Dick Berggren.
Well, I'm not quite in that position yet. I'm on pit road with Bobby Moon, who's got a car with a whole back end pushed in. Bobby, what happened to you?
Well, I started into one there, and my spotter said, slow down, stop. He said the whole track's blocked, so I slowed down and got hit from behind and turned around, and then somebody hit it in the quarter panel. It's a shame. We were having a pretty good run.
What do you do from here, though? Can you fix this thing once the red flag goes away?
We're going to try to weld on it, get it back together, and go out and have a decent finish.
After all that careful preparation, though, the car's not going to be quite the way it was.
No, we got the spoiler and the trunk knocked off of it, and it's going to be a little bit loose, I think, but maybe we can salvage a good finish out of it.
Well, if he likes a challenge, he's about to have one. The car sure isn't going to handle as well as it did before. I'll try to get some interviews with some more people here, Mike.
Bobby Moon out of Spout Spring, Virginia. They're trying to get back into this one. There's Ricky Craven's car, and that one came in on the flatbed, but it looks like they want to fix it.
Yeah, the left side's the one that sustained all the damage. You look at the right side of the car there, it's virtually unscathed, but the left side was completely destroyed.
Good young fella and a sharp heads-up racer. He had quite a run here to qualify for this event. Craven starting 7th, ahead of such luminaries as Kyle Petty, Rick Mast, Labonte, Tommy Houston, Morgan Shepherd. But now, near the wall, trying to get that car ready to be worked on. Let's have another look at what caused the red flag situation. And it was a Humpty-Doo up in turn number 2. And it started on the restart. Craven, the blue car, is the one we'll watch. Bobby Labonte has gone up and over him already from this angle. And the cars behind really have to scatter. And you can see that everybody is still hard in the throttle. There's Dale Jarrett heading up toward the wall. Morgan Shepherd, the yellow car, headed to the inside. Jimmy Hensley is spun, backs into Jarrett. Meanwhile, Labonte's on his roof, and he's going to go over for one more barrel roll here on the left side of your screen as drivers take evasive action, slither and slide. Labonte completing the roll. Somebody doing a nice job in the white car on the left of getting by that one. Labonte's car would go over one more time. Here's a more telling look. Watch the blue car and how it turns in.
Yeah, he comes down the racetrack. It looks like he just was trying to get out of the way. He had a problem. Bobby Labonte just clobbered him, went right up over him. The 3-4 cars right behind him had absolutely no place to go. I mean, you're just sitting there. It all unfolds in front of you. You're just along for the ride right now. You see Morgan Shepherd in the yellow car get hit in the front end by Jimmy Hensley, the 25 car. Shepherd comes down the racetrack, slams into the inside guardrail. In the meantime, the camera's picking up Bobby Labonte continuing his rolls.
Man, that's an E-ticket ride.
Yes, sir.
Right there. Space Mountain has nothing on that. Fortunately, Labonte and all the drivers involved in this accident are okay. Kenny Bouchard sliding through there in the blue car. They've refired the machines down in turn number 1. Cleanup activities have been completed at turn number 2 with 137 laps complete, 263 or 163 to go. We'll refire this one, and we'll be back to New Hampshire International Speedway and Sports Channel America's coverage of the Budweiser 300 right after these messages. You can strap yourself in for high-speed excitement when Speedway Sunday hits Sports Channel America. You'll be trackside for a total recap of this week in motorsports. Plus, race fans will get the latest word on worldwide auto racing action. Grand Prix of Britain today, kart racing in New Jersey, Busch Grand National Racing here in New Hampshire. Get set for Speedway Sunday tonight, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific time, live on Sports Channel America. Lap leaders at 1:37, Jimmy Hensley out in front from the pole. Tommy Ellis took the front spot. Tommy Houston, who since had clutch trouble. Ellis went back to the point. Then Mike Waltrip, Rick Mast on one restart, and Joe Nemechek has been at the front. So we'd have 6 different leaders of this race at the 137 lap mark.
You know, the cars have refired now, and it's nice to see Joe Nemechek still leading the race, but he's not there on his own. The car 96, the blue car right behind him, Tom Peck, had to give Nemechek a push start after the car sat there during the red flag period. Joe's car had some gremlins in it, I guess, didn't want to refire. Peck was kind enough to give him a push start, got him going again, so Joe's still the leader thanks to Tom Peck.
Morgan Shepherd in the pits. He had a tire rubbing on the right front as a result of the incident. Dave Dion back in, Kyle Petty. There's Tom Peck. 4th at Dover. He's had a pretty good season. He's well up in the point standings.
He's got a good mentor, Reds Cables, who's been around Busch Grand National Racing for a long, long time, maintains the cars for Tom, and they've done a tremendous job with this young man. Tom's going to be a force to reckon with in years to come, but once he gets some more experience under his belt.
Peck is 6th in the point standings with 6 top 10 finishes, 14th in money won with $41,000. So let's take a look at the top 5 as they reline up and the fans settle back in. Nemechek, Peck, Bound, Wallace, and Grissom. Not a Winston Cup star to be seen.
No, you're just rubbing it in, aren't you, Mike?
Long way to go.
Yogi Berra said it. It's not over till it's over.
That's right. Long way to go. Yogi Berra also said, I think Yogi Berra said, boo-boo, that's another picnic basket, please.
I said Berra.
Okay.
It's Southern accent. Just
well, the one who used to catch for the Yankees, they had Old Timers Day at the stadium yesterday, but that Yogi also said if the fans don't want to come, let them. And, you know, you used to hear that, but here at this place, New Hampshire International Speedway, I think some folks were fearful they might not draw a crowd for big league auto racing, but this main grandstand has some 35,000 or more people in it. They don't allow fans into the infield. They are parked out to every bit of real estate here that doesn't have a birch tree on it. and it's just a tremendous crowd.
Look at the damage to the car 32 of Dale Jarrett. They've been working feverishly on this car since the accident happened. Looks like they've got the thing at least where it rolls straight now. I'm not sure if they've got the toe in and everything back on it, but they got to cut away some fenders here.
That's the American School of Sheet Metal Work Special out there right now. You too can design air conditioning ducts in your spare time. There's a good place to start right there. Let's get down with Dick Bergman for another update on this incident.
Well, this is a good update. This is Ricky Craven, and you look like you're okay.
Well, it's unfortunate, you know, what happened up there, and for us, Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, you know, there's still no outside groove yet, and being on the outside, we got into the loose stuff and got out of the gas, and for whatever reason, got hit in the side by the 41 car, I believe, and then, you know, everything broke loose. I don't know, Bobby's all right, and
did you see him in the infield care center?
They're both okay, but the cars are torn up naturally, and we're just going to have to come back next, you know, in September and try and pick up where we were running here, you know.
It looks like you took a ferocious hit at the left side. The car is well torn up.
Yeah, it really is, and at that point, I don't know who hit me. Like I say, got together with the 41 car, and the car went around, and, you know, all I saw was a bunch of cars coming at me.
You're a young racer without an awful lot of experience. Is this the hardest hit, the worst crash you've been through?
Well, you know, they're all hard. Don't like to take a hit. I don't know. I guess I don't like to measure things like that.
Okay, Ricky Craven feeling all right. Car's not feeling okay. He'll be back. The car will too. It's not permanently damaged.
Boy, Glenn, I don't blame him. These are the kind of days you don't want to remember too hard.
No, you don't. You just want to forget about those things.
Michael Waltrip could be having one of those days. Now, he was down at the end of pit road waiting to go out when they had held the cars, and it looks like NASCAR is going to hold and put him back in his proper start in the running order. By coming down pit lane, he may have gained a lap from his position, so they're going to rectify that now, and it looks like he'll line up. My guess is going to be tail end of the lead lap, but we'll have to get that confirmed with scoring.
Yeah, I imagine you're right. Mike had fortuitously there. He had passed the pace car, so he's got to go to the end of the line. He had really made a decisive gain there on the racetrack, but NASCAR caught it. They won't allow that. They're going to put him at the rear of the pack.
141 laps complete under the caution here at New Hampshire. We pause now for this regional break. Sports Channel America's coverage of the Budweiser 300 will continue after these messages. Getting lined up for the restart at 142 laps complete. And Glenn, we were talking during the break about Tommy Houston. It looks like that shutdown period might have done him some good.
Well, absolutely. It gave that clutch a little more opportunity to cool off. They had done some work on the car, and as we saw him taking off here as they're getting ready to restart this race, the car seemed to be performing flawlessly right now, so it could be that his problems are solved, at least for the time being.
Dale Jarrett, that car looking like a very wounded warrior out there, but he is back running. Joe Nemechek is the leader. He's driven a very heady, very sharp race. He's had the car on the bottom of the racetrack all day and let the race come to him. He is the leader. As we go back to green, Nemechek out front. Tom Peck is right with him. Breaking out of the pack is Chuck Bowen in the red car. He's got Kenny Wallace with him, and Peck is going to surrender second spot at turn one.
And also third spot for Kenny Wallace in the 36 car. In fact, a lot of cars are dropping by Peck. He's hung on the outside. He drops all the way back to fifth. Now Jamie Obie in the 41 car moves by. Bobby Hamilton in eighth moves up under him.
And something I thought we'd never see today, they were 3 wide going into turn one. Not in the straightaway, but deep in the corner.
You see leader Joe Nemechek there just picking his way through the turns. I haven't seen Joe get the car out of shape all day. Like you said, Mike, he's running just almost a flawless race up to this point. But he's got some fire breathing down his tailpipes now in the number of Chuck Bowen, 63.
Bowen has already earned $145,000 on this circuit this year. Most of that by virtue of 5 victories. He runs second to Nemechek, and it's only a matter of time before he pulls that dive bomb move in 3. Trouble in the backstretch. Jamie Obie spins around. Just a harmless twirl down to the inside, and we may stay green on this one. Just a dust cloud, and Obie's going to get it going again. Tough break because he was well up in the top 10. He will restart and get away. No caution on the field.
No, that was, like you said, a harmless spinning. Looks like he came off the corner and got loose, and it dove down the inside of the racetrack and just looped around with him when he overcorrected.
Chuck Bowen at 63. He's going to have a tough time of it with Nemechek because Joe is running as low on the racetrack as you can go. So Bowen is going to have to put the limbo bar about 1 notch lower and get right down almost with 2 wheels in that New Hampshire gravel to the inside. if he's going to get Nemechek, because Joe is right on the bottom.
Yeah, Joe's really sticking to the bottom. Chuck had a good run in him that time, and Joe just moved down there and slammed the door in his face. Chuck's car seems to be a little bit stronger in the middle of the turn. Looks like he can get back in the gas a little quicker, but Joe just turns it down left. There you see Chuck muscle his way over it. He nudges him a little bit and says, bye-bye, Joe.
So Chuck Bound goes to the front. Nemechek, is he in trouble, or is he just gaining back his momentum? No, he's slowed down. 5 cars have gone past him. He may be regrouping his thinking. Or let's see if he heads for pit road. I don't think so.
I think he's okay. He got up in the marbles there, and once you get up in the loose stuff here, you really got to back out of it completely so you get the car perfectly straight. Then you can go fast again.
Boy, from the penthouse to the outhouse in 1 lap. From 1st to 6th or 7th or so.
Worthless muscle move by Chuck Bound here.
Bound inside and up just a gentle little bit.
You see Joe's car get out of shape. It's still wiggling a little bit. You see he's completely out of shape there. Kenny Wallace almost popped him there. That really helped him straighten him up to see how far out toward the wall he went. He lost a lot of time there just gathering the car back up.
NASCAR official was just seen down at Chuck Bound's pit, and a few words were exchanged, a little bit of admonishment. And Bound, though, he really had to get going because he had a mirror full of Kenny Wallace and still does at the front of the field. There's Nemechek now battling back with Earnhardt.
Yeah, you see another car that's putting a good move on right now. 31 of Steve Grissom moves by Kenny Wallace to take over the 2nd place. Grissom had lost a lap early on, but he was able to make that up. And now he's moved back into 2nd place, running a terrific race. Looks like he's getting ready to put some heat on leader Chuck Bound.
So Bound at the front of the pack. Grissom in 2nd. Having quite a race. He made that lap back up 2 cautions ago, beating the leader back to the line. I believe that was Rick Mast at the time that he beat back to the line to get back on the lead lap. Now he finds himself in 2nd place. Kenny Wallace 3rd. Bobby Hamilton 4th. Earnhardt is 5th. Here's Nemechek continuing to run, but he is back in 6th place. Joe Nemechek in 6th from the lead. Tom Peck right behind him. And Dick Berggren is in his pit.
Yeah, and if the crew chief has a familiar face, it should. This is Donnie Allison. He's crew chief for Nemechek. Donnie, you've gone from 1st to 6th. What's happened?
Well, he was, we were trying to lead this thing in halfway, and Chuck got him up in that loose stuff over there coming off too, and, you know, he just had to really back off and get it back in line, and so they went our halfway job, but Joe Nemechek is doing a wonderful job in that Buick.
You're running strong enough with this thing to be running toward the lead at the end?
I think so. You know, we just see what happened with the pit stops, and our car is real good. Joe likes it, and right now we got to wait. 151 laps. We just got 154 to go.
Okay, there it is.
Well, patience in the form of Donnie Allison on the headset is probably doing a lot for Joe Nemechek. He's a talented young driver in his own right, but having a fellow like Donnie on the other end, that's going to help. Let's go back to the front of the field. Chuck Bound, the leader. We asked Chuck if there's one point on this racetrack where he's maybe a little faster than some others.
Right now, I feel real comfortable down in turns 1 and 2. I think I'm making real good time through 1 and 2. And I think I'm gaining in 3 and 4 all the time, but I'm just not quite as comfortable down in 3 and 4 as I am in 1 and 2. And I hope one of my strongest suits is a straightaway.
What's the problem with 3 and 4? What makes you uncomfortable about it?
Now, just perception. I don't think I'm quite getting into the corner like I really want to, and it's so easy to get in too hard, slide up into the gray part of the racetrack, and back it into the fence. So I want to be a little bit easy there.
He's in turns 3 and 4 right there, and he probably took a little easy because Grissom had his move down pat.
Yeah, I think Chuck was a little too easy there. Steve Grissom is really running well right now. He has been one of the strongest competitors in this circuit for the past 2 months. He just can't seem to get that first victory. He's run up front every single telecast that we have had, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him take one home here before long.
Yeah, but if you're Chuck Bound and you've got the point lead, you've won 5 races, and you know you've got one of the best cars here, a guy like that wants to go, do you just let him go?
Well, yeah, I think you have to. Plus, Chuck just picked up $1,500 for leading lap 150, and, you know, it may be sometimes a race driver will say, well, you know, if he's not comfortable in 3 and 4, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Let me follow somebody down there. Maybe they can show me something.
Following Dale Earnhardt into the corner is Bobby Hamilton and Joe Nemechek. Earnhardt has just moved up a notch. Tom Peck tried to regain a spot underneath Nemechek. Nothing doing there. And that battle is at 4th position. 4th now Earnhardt. 5th is Hamilton in the 8 car. 6th is Nemechek. 7th is Tom Peck. Time for a 150-lap summary at halfway, coming up in just a moment here. Steve Grissom continuing to lead. Grissom now becomes the 8th different leader of this race. Jimmy Hensley from the pole. Tommy Ellis took it from him and on through to this point where Nemechek has surrendered now, first to Bound and now to Grissom. And now Grissom is opening it up a bit.
Yeah, he's starting to pull out a little bit, and also Kenny Wallace in 36 starting to put a little heat on Bound. You can see Bound's car move away from Wallace and up on Grissom in the middle of the corner. As I said earlier, that seems to be one of Chuck's strongest places, and right in the middle of the turn, he really gets a good bite. But as they come off, Grissom's car seems to be a little bit stronger, maybe down the straightaways and getting into the turns.
Good battle back there. Tom Peck, though, just surrendering the spot to Jeff Burton out of South Boston, Virginia. So Burton clambering up toward the top 5.
Yeah, Burton has run a steady race also. He was one of the early crash victims in practice here early in the week. He got into the wall, messed up the right side of the car, but the guy that owns it and maintains it, Sam Mark, said that they had worked hard on the car, got everything pretty well straightened back out. He's moved up into the top 10 now.
As we look at the leader, Steve Grissom, now let's have a look at the Quaker State 150-lap summary. Brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. One Tough Motor Oil. At lap 150, Chuck Bound was in front of the field. After 10 lead changes, we had 9 cautions for a total of 47 laps, plus the red flag for that incident. Let's take a look at cars out of the race. Davey Johnson, Rex Franklin with engine trouble, Bobby Labonte and Dave Resendiz, Ricky Craven and Bobby Dragon all going out in that accident that occurred about lap 135. Uh-oh, Tommy Houston in trouble.
Yeah, it came as he started off the second turn. A big puff of blue smoke came out of the car. Looks like that clutch finally gave way on it. I've got a sneaking suspicion this might be it for the day.
So Houston, with a family affair kind of race team, coming to the attention of Scott and Marty and the crew. And the board is out. They're going to send him behind the wall.
Yeah, they're going to if they're going to get back in this thing, which they want to do for the points, they're going to have to put another clutch in it. You know, this Houston family is a story in itself. We would now go down to Dick Berggren.
Well, Tommy, what are you going to do now? Well, something's wrong with the transmission. The clutch has been a-slipping since the pit stop when I come in from when I was leading the race. And, you know, I think we had the best car here today. And I just tiptoed along easy when I was in the lead, you know, on the tires that had 70 laps on. It's just a shame. The Rose's Ford Buick, it looks like it's about done for. It smells like the transmission part of it.
Well, it sure does. You going to try to change it if it is?
Well, we'll probably take a look at it, see if we can cool it down and go back out and run for some points. There was quite a few cars that's torn up back there. I hope everybody's okay, but, you know, we'll just do the best we can and go on next week to South Boston.
Family racing team, they've got their work cut out for them now. They're going underneath the car to see if they can salvage what's left of the transmission.
Well, that's the right kind of attitude. If you can't win this one, well, we'll go win the next one.
That's right. You can see the disappointment and dejection in Tommy's face, but sometimes things happen that are totally beyond your control. I tell you, one of the worst smells in the world is burning transmission or rear end grease, because you know that's going to put you out for good.
And I'll give these fellas a lot of credit, because, you know, you have, and I've spent a lot of time down at pit road where Dick Berggren is today, and a fellow like Tommy Houston, he's thinking about how his race car's torn up and if they can fix it and if he can get some points or if he's going home here without any money. And the last thing he wants to see is a microphone stuck in his face. Somebody asks me how he feels right this minute. It's part of our job. We've got to do it. It's part of his job to answer those questions, but we know it's not fun, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, we certainly do.
At 162 laps, Steve Grissom is currently the class of the field. There's Chuck Bound. Kenny Wallace continues to apply the heat. Here comes Dale Earnhardt.
Old Darth Vader.
Prophecy revealed. You're about to become right on this one.
For once.
Because he is coming. Now, Dale's car hasn't quite worked the best all day. I understand this is the car that he won Rockingham in.
That's correct.
After a celebrated battle with your brother. And a lapped car, figuring in that one in the closing laps, Dale Earnhardt ended up in victory lane rather than Dale Jarrett. And Earnhardt is there. Now he's all over Kenny Wallace, and Chuck Bound looks like he may have lost a little bit of what good handling he had on his race car.
Yeah, the car's getting, wanting to kick the rear end out a little bit, getting a little bit squirrely with him, and I think he's holding Kenny Wallace up, and in doing that, that's enabled Earnhardt to move back up on the rear deck of both of them. It wouldn't surprise me before too awfully long to see Wallace move under Chuck Bound. you can see Bound move up in the middle of the corners. I think Kenny's going to take advantage of that pretty soon.
Bobby Hamilton is up there too. Jimmy Hensley in number 25 was the pole sitter for this event, but he was involved in that lap 135 crash at turn 2, and understand he's being black flagged by NASCAR. They want to call him in and have a look at that car. There is Bobby Scruggs with the black flag. And there should be a number board on the far side of that flag stand for the drivers to see which in a draft of 20 cars is the one being issued the black flag. Hensley, though, still at good competitive speed as he gets underneath the barrier car. He's being called in.
There may be a little smoke or fluid or something dripping out of the car. I haven't seen him do anything wrong on the racetrack. I've got a suspicion that he's probably leaking something on the track. I'm not sure he knows that. Yeah, there he comes down the pit road. So he's coming in for consultation.
And he's pitted right across from our broadcast position. He will get fuel while he's in.
It's hard to tell what.
Window net?
Oh yeah, the window net wasn't staying up properly. That's what it is. So they're having to repair that. You don't see that very often.
Well, it's a safety violation. The window net has to be in place and latched. It's a bar through a hole just the size of that bar at one end, and then it's like a safety belt latch in your passenger car at the other, and it's got to be up to protect the driver, or they call him in to fix it. So he's back out. Hasn't been his day. It was for about the first 30 laps, and been a tough day for the Hensley car. Looking at the front of the field again as Chuck Bound now tries to hold off not only Kenny Wallace, but Dale Earnhardt had been right up on Wallace's bumper, and now he's drifted back a bit along with Bobby Hamilton.
And it looks like the 63 car of Bound and 36 of Wallace have moved away from Earnhardt and moving back up on 31 of Grissom. Grissom's still leading the race, but Bound and Wallace are definitely closing the gap right now. You know, it could be that they're just searching out, trying to find a proper groove here. They have all moved up about a half a lane on the racetrack, and that may have been what was causing Chuck Bound to kick out a little bit. He might have been making himself a new groove there.
Kind of an accordion effect. There's Kenny Wallace.
Kenny riding along right behind him said, heck, if he can do that, I can too. I'm just going to follow him for a while. He's not leaving me, and nobody else is catching us, so I'm comfortable right here.
Kenny's had a pole, but he's still looking for his first win of the season. 4 top 5 and 9 top 10 finishes. Harry Gadd just went past L.D. Ottinger to pick up, no he didn't, excuse me, still working on L.D. Ottinger at 10th position. They're right behind the Dave Mader and Joe Nemechek cars in that order. So Gant, who started this race dead last on a promoter's option, worked his way up through half the field, then drifted back a bit. Now he's fighting back along to get into the top 10, and there's another Winston Cupper going toward the front of the pack. So
it's been a long uphill battle for Harry. It seems like every time he got in a position to challenge, maybe up in a higher position, caution would come out.
Trouble on Ottinger as Gant goes past, and Gant will move up then into the 9th position now. So Ottinger drifting back. Tom Peck goes past LD's number 2, and he may be coming to the pit lane. Yep, Ottinger will pit. There's Elvin Rector and the crew waiting for him. Tom Peck just rolled up into the 10th position there by passing Ottinger. And the Detroit gasket car is on pit road. Dick Berggren is there, Dick.
Fuel's flat when they came in here, Mike. They're trying a 2-tire change on the outside of LD's car. Shouldn't be in quite this early, unscheduled. This is exactly what they had planned. Elvin Richter, crew chief's got both sides done, and he's gone.
So 2 tires and fuel for the former National Sportsman Champion it was back then. Now it's the Busch Grand National Series.
Yeah, LD has been one of the stronger cars here all day, and now he's got some problems, and you see him pulling out there in front of him.
Hey, Grissom's in trouble. The leader. The leader is no longer the leader. Chuck Bound is at the front of the field now. Steve Grissom, they're in trouble, drifted back, now in 3rd position, and Earnhardt may get him. Chuck Bound in 63 is the new leader. Kenny Wallace, the green car, is 2nd. And trouble on Grissom's car, but he's back up to speed. If I didn't know better, I'd say he popped out of gear. I mean, he just all of a sudden, Bound was there, and boom, he was by him.
Well, there's all kind of speculation. You know, that was about the time that L.D. Ottinger pulled back up into the fast lane as he came out of the pits. He may have gotten in Grissom's way. I don't know.
In any case, Steve Grissom is now back to 3rd position, and Chuck Bound is in the lead.
Well, Bound just more or less inherited that lead because all at once Grissom was leading, and then he wasn't.
Let's go back to pit road and Dick Berggren.
I'm with Steve Bird. He's crew chief for Steve Grissom. Steve, you guys are backpedaling. What's the problem?
Well, he went by a lap car, and I got him up in the marbles there a little bit. He just come over the radio and said, don't worry about it. We just take it easy here, try to get back up there. We get to the next stop, it'll be time to go for it.
That sounds like a New England accent. It sure is. We got a New England crew chief and Southern driver.
Steve Bird's from New Hampshire. His dad, a longtime official at the short tracks up in this area, Amos Bird. Joe Nemechek is on pit road. Green flag stop for 2 tires and gasoline. Chuck Bown at the front of the field. He's won 5 of these this year and $145,000 in the process. Now look how quick Ottinger is with those 2 new right side tires as he holds the Kenny Wallace car, and Grissom coming right back at Kenny Wallace for second.
You know, that says a lot for the maturity of Grissom, for what Steve Bird said. He said to him on the radio, you know, he said, just take, you know, everything's okay, I'm all right, I just made a mistake. It's good to see Grissom, you know, taking that cool approach, because he could have got a little excited trying to make it all up at one time. He knows he's got a car that's capable of winning the race. He's just going to sit there, get the time that he lost back little by little. He's already moved back up on Kenny Wallace.
Grissom from Gadsden, Alabama. And one car is spun to the infield, and that is Elton Sawyer car. Out of turn number 2, caution flag. Now that looks similar to the Jamie Obie spin, but there may have been some debris shoved out onto the racetrack here. The inner part of this racetrack, the apron, is gravel and some good-sized stones in it. Here's the battle back to the flag. Ottinger will not get his lap back that he lost when he came to pit road under green. Let's take another look at what happened to Elton Sawyer there at turn 2 to bring out the 10th caution of the day at lap 175.
You see him spinning down toward the inside. I think the reason they had to throw the caution here, Mike, was because of all the dust that he raised back there. It made visibility a little tough for the guys coming off second turn. Then you see him get down into the inside wall. Hits it pretty hard, but not hard enough to keep him from getting it fired up and getting back into the action.
There'll be pit stops in this caution flag, the 10th one of the day, but we'll be back to New Hampshire International Speedway right after these messages. We're on to the 10th caution of the day at New Hampshire International Speedway. Mike Joy with Glenn Jarrett and Dick Berggren bringing you the coverage today on Sports Channel America. Dave Dion in the pits in his second round of stops. Joe Nemechek, tough break for Nemechek. He had just made a pit stop under green for right side tires, gone down a lap, and the caution comes out, so that'll catch him 1 down. Jeff Spraker is in, the Latham, New York driver. Ed Barrier getting his service. Bobby Moon.
You know, Mike, prior to that caution, when Nemechek made that pit stop, I'm going to speculate that he probably had a tire going down. You know, he got bumped up into the marbles. I imagine he started backtracking through the pack then. I imagine he probably cut a tire down.
But he finishes his service, now gets the left sides to go with the new rights. And will rejoin the field tail end. Behind the safety car, L.D. Ottinger, who will now be on the tail end of the lead lap. Ed Ferry resurfaces at the front of the field. He had a good long run under green flag racing in the 3rd spot. And he's now moved up into the lead under caution. The Saxonburg, Pennsylvania driver. Morgan Shepherd shown as 2nd, Steve Grissom 3rd, and Dale Earnhardt 4th. Chuck Bound did not have a particularly good pit stop, and he's dropped back to midfield.
Yeah, I don't know if they did something extra to the car or what it was, but it was an extremely slow pit stop. That's usually a pretty accomplished pit crew. Get him in, get him out pretty quickly, but he's come out in the middle of the pack. That's going to play a little harder for him right now. He's got a lot of traffic, a lot of passes he's going to have to make.
So Bound will have to come up through the field once again here today. 179 laps on the board. Kyle Petty making a stop. They push up the spoiler just a bit on his Pontiac, give it a little more downforce in the corner.
That's an indication the car's getting a little bit loose. I was watching him a while ago. Dale Jarrett and Kyle were running close together on the racetrack, and I knew Kyle was having some problems because his car's still pretty straight sheet metal-wise, and Dale doesn't have a right side on his and was able to keep up with Kyle, so I felt like Kyle had some kind of problem.
Okay, looking for position on Chuck Bound, and I note him 9th in the pack after a lengthy pit stop. So Bound looking to come back up through. Ed Ferry will get a taste of leading under the green flag in Busch Grand National competition. Morgan Shepherd in 2nd. Looks like the good-looking side of your brother's car there in 3rd. And we're getting set for a restart. Oh, there's the other side back there in third spot. Here comes Morgan, looking for the lead on Ed Berry. Ed Berry is going to find himself in fast company at turn number 1. Shepard, is he going to go for it? No, not this time.
Well, he had moved down to the bottom, blocked him off, so evidently he knows the tricks as well as anybody.
Middle of turn 2, a car up toward the wall and just scraping it.
That's 27, Elton Sawyer, who the caution just came out for. Now he's into the wall down in the first and second turn.
And Jamie Obey was also up there. Well, they've shuffled Berry out of the lead. It's Morgan Shepard, L.D. Ottinger. Now, if they toss that caution, L.D. wants that lap back. On the inside, Shepard's not going to give it to him. And the car moves away. No caution. Elton Sawyer gets away.
Yeah, he was able to fire the car up and get it going. I think he sat there a while hoping for a caution, but he got the marbles, got up against the wall, but I don't think there was too much damage done other than lost time.
Mike Waltrip doing a bit of rubbing on Berry, and Ed Berry finds out what it's like to be caught on the outside in the slow lane. As he drifts back a few spots and limping around, you saw them speed past the Elton Sawyer car. Morgan Shepard becomes this race's 10th different leader.
You see Elton Sawyer just gets high, gets up in the loose stuff. We call it marbles. The car just slides right out from under him. Watch it. It'll go all the way to the wall before it stops. Pow! That's not a fun way to stop a spin.
That wall wasn't there. He'd be in Concord by now. And also there's Jamie Obey up there. Also got up into the loose stuff. Morgan Shepard. And now we have the caution as into the wall is another car at turn number 2. Bobby Hamilton is in it in turn 1. It was a 2-car incident. Jack Sprague, I believe, is the other car that's now limping down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Hamilton is taking a hard. You can see the rear of the car there. Ooh, you see one crunched in like that. He has gotten into the corner, into the marbles, turned around backwards. Elton Sawyer's car, you saw it going to a long slide. Hamilton's car, the back end just zipped right around. He went right up into the wall.
Car started the race as a Cutlass, and now it's, what's that little thing they make, Sunfire? Or
well, I was going to say it looks like a CRX.
Yeah, not a Sierra, a CRX, that's it.
Yeah, it's definitely not the shape that's conducive to good aerodynamics. He's got a lot of fun in there, too. Look at that thing. He crushed up both of them. It's pretty well wadded up.
That was a plane. They grounded.
The car looks like it's 6 feet shorter than it ought to be when we hit my vantage point here.
Now the red flag is out at the end of pit road this time, so Hamilton couldn't come in until the safety car gets everybody in tow. Ottinger may have gotten his lap back this time, along with Michael Waltrip. They've gone past the safety car and around to join the field. Hamilton has to catch up the field before he can pit, but it looks like it's going to take more than a lap to get the work done on his car. The other car involved up there was Jack Sprague, another of the promoter's options cars. Sprague in car number 34 was involved with Hamilton up there in turn number 1. So the marbles are, as you term it, what happens with a new racetrack when you work in one groove and the little particles of asphalt, rubber, and everything get kicked up to the outside of that. Makes it very treacherous once you get up into the loose stuff.
It's worse than treacherous. It's
You've been there.
More times than I care to remember. Mike, I'm looking at something right now. You see them going to work on Bobby Hamilton's car. They've got a lot of work to do to get that car in shape to get back on the racetrack. When you see the rear end wadded up like that, there's always danger of damage to the fuel cell.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, you're absolutely right. They really do have the rear end of this thing wadded up. However, most important, that fuel cell is intact. The tin can that surrounds it is well bent. The filler neck has been torn off this thing. They've just torn the trunk off, the back bumper off. They're going to have to do something about that filler neck, however. Right now, that thing is just open and exposed to the air. He cannot run with that fuel cell like that, that's for sure, but there he goes.
Well, he's still got a fender there that is hooked to, so by the strictest or loosest interpretation of the rule, you see a piece coming off of it there.
Brake duct.
Yeah, he can still run.
There's Jack Sprague at 34. The other car involved in the incident has some damage on the left side. That Hamilton car looks like Hulk Hogan after he's been slammed to the mat 8 or 9 times, but still comes back to get the bad guy. There's Sprague's car.
Sprague looks like he came out the best out of that crash. He's got some damage to the right front, but other than that, he seems to be in pretty good shape.
Cosmetic damage, they would call it. There's a little bit of elementary body work. That's an aluminum baseball bat they're using to gain clearance. You put it against the tire, and as it rolls around, it kind of rolls a bead of clearance around that right front.
Pretty ingenious method of doing it.
I like it. Bobby Hamilton back in. This thing looks like a burned out rocket settling back to the launch pad. Here's Dick.
fuel spilling out of the back of Bobby Hamilton's car. They've got a cutting saw here. I sure hope they don't fire that thing up with fuel lying around here, but that's just what they're doing. I'm going to back up just a little bit. I'm not too happy about what's happening here. They're trying to hook it on. People are saying don't cut. Yeah, they're trying to shut this thing down, and I really hope they do, because right now it's a dangerous situation with the fuel cell open, with fuel spilled here a bit. There's still a little bit of it dripping down, and I'm going to tell you, this car is big-time bent. If they're going to get this thing back on the racetrack, they've got a Herculean job to do it. It's really wrecked.
Well, assuming he does get it back in, what happens to the aerodynamics with no downforce on the back of that car?
The car's got to be extremely loose and very, very treacherous to drive. I can't imagine NASCAR letting him stay out there too long. That's about as bad as I've seen one torn up on the rear end, and they're still trying to get it back on the racetrack.
It'd be like driving a bobtail tractor with no trailer in a rainstorm.
That's exactly right.
No fun. They're holding Mike Waltrip and L.D. Ottinger at start-finish for going past the pace car. They thought they'd gotten their lap back, and NASCAR said, I don't think so. So they're going to go back around one more time, and we're going to go back around and be back to New Hampshire International Speedway in the running of the Budweiser 300. 185 laps in the books. We'll be back. We are under the umpteenth caution of the day at New Hampshire International Speedway. No, it's only been 11. This one for Bobby Hamilton and Jack Sprague up in turn number 1. Dick Berggren is down in the Bobby Hamilton pit, where the driver has climbed from the car, but work continues.
Well, what's going to happen now? They're working on your car. You're on your way back to the garage. You quitting? You're going to try it some more?
Well, ain't nothing going to happen. The car's weren't. You know, it's unfortunate. We sitting there. We had a game plan to run a certain pace all day, and it's paying off. We was on sync with all the lead cars and all, so just one of those things. The layover cars are not giving no respect at all today, and that's what happened. This layover car got into it. So, beautiful racetrack. I'm glad. We look forward to coming back again. They definitely need to win the Cup race here.
That's the kind of talk we like to hear. Bobby Hamilton ran a good race today, found himself in the fence, however.
Now, by layover cars, he means what we call up here in Yankee country lapped cars. Right. The layover is probably a pretty good term, because they need to lay over down in the low part of the corner for these fellas to get by them. So Sprague and Hamilton apparently tangled before they went up into the fence. And the result, Hamilton's car is severely shortened at the rear, where it will join Tommy Houston's behind the pit wall.
Yeah, his car is laid over now.
For the day. 187 on the board, 113 laps to go. Elton Sawyer back in the race after a lengthy stop under this caution flag. Otherwise, pit road is clear, as they still have a little bit of cleanup work to do out there before they restart this one. 1 lap to go will now be the indication.
See him trying to push Bobby Hamilton's car back in there. Tommy Houston's car is sitting in the way. He's got a transmission out of it, can't move it, so they had to make some room there, get the car off pit road so they can work on it.
1 lap to go, and they reshuffled the scoring. They put Ottinger and Waltrip not to the back of the field, but held them for the safety car to come around. And they are now at the tail end of the lead lap, lined up right alongside the leaders. At the front of the pack now, Morgan Shepherd, Winston Cup veteran and late model sportsman veteran of many campaigns. Steve Grissom in second, Dale Jarrett in third, Chuck Bown in fourth, as the Winston Cup drivers are rising to the top of this 189 lap stew.
Wait a minute. Who did you say was in third?
I got the right Jarrett, didn't I?
Dale Jarrett. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We can use that race car.
Not this side, folks.
No, we need to see the other side.
Folks, this is the side of the wrapper. The candy bar is the other side, and it's been chewed on some.
It's definitely crunched.
There's Joe Nemechek a lap down, fighting to get one of his back. Now you get to see the other side of number 32. It's a Jekyll and Hyde situation. Yeah.
Yes, folks, that is the same race car.
Okay, back to the green. Morgan Shepherd takes it off into turn number 1. Oh, bang! And Ottinger wasn't going to get his lap back and almost wasn't going to get to the inside. He and Steve Grissom got together, and scooting up the racetrack, Michael Waltrip avoids the wall. Uh-oh, hang on, Michael. He does just barely and doesn't get rear-ended by anybody, but look how long it takes him. He's going to go all the way to the back of the pile before he gets squared away and regains control.
You can see Mike's car as he was going up through that loose stuff, through the debris. In fact, one time he put the brakes on, I saw the left front tire just slide. It's so slick up there. That's equivalent to running down a super speedway or super highway, turning dead left into a puddle of oil. The car just will not turn. Just goes back and forth, slides right up to the wall. He's fortunate he didn't catch a piece of the wall.
Tough break for Michael. Jeff Burton on pit road for right side tires as Morgan Shepherd on the left side of the screen has the lead, and Steve Grissom is right with him. Here comes up under LD Otter, Tommy Ellis battling back. Dale Jarrett has now surrendered third place to Chuck Bound.
And Dale Scar's not very aerodynamic, so you can see him really pick up some speed on him, some time on him as he goes down the straightaway. Watch Nemechek try to put the move on him. Dale slams the door on him. Doing a pretty good job in a battered up race car, but I think his possibilities of winning are gone because of aerodynamics, but he's still doing a heck of a job out there with that car in the condition it's in.
Well, one thing Dale Jarrett may have on his side is experience. He is a very experienced race car driver, and we asked him just what that experience gives him going into a race like this.
I think you just learn more about the race car, what you need in the race car, and you know, how to really race. You know, you come in and can race, but how to win races. I think that's the biggest thing, is learning how to win, what it takes to do that, how the car needs to feel at a certain point of the race to realize that you have a chance. And there's no way of doing that without getting experience. Only laps and losing races really is the way to learn that. So I've lost plenty. I've finished second, third, and fourth more times I like to count, especially in this Busch Grand National division. But now I just need to carry that over into Winston Cup and be a little more consistent there, because that's just completely is like going from Class A baseball up to the major leagues, because there's so much difference in the cars, and the drivers are just the best in the world. So you have to really be on top of things. It just takes time. You have to be very patient, you know, because we all want to win, and you just have to kind of like Darrell Waltrip told you have to slow down to go fast.
Good point made by Dale Jarrett, currently in fourth place. And as he was talking, the lead changed hands. Steve Grissom got a good bit of experience jumping under Morgan Shepherd there to retake the lead.
That was a heck of a move Grissom put on. In fact, I think he surprised Morgan, and Morgan almost stopped in the middle of the corner because I can't believe this guy's down there under me. Grissom's car is working well. I don't think that right now, with possibly the exception of Chuck Bound, that there is another car on this racetrack that's running quite as well as Steve Grissom.
Well, let's see. Chuck Bound and Steve Grissom, and those are Busch Grand National guys.
Yeah, and so is Tommy Ellis in 99. They've got the Morgan sandwich there.
And so is Chuck Bound in 63. And where are all your cuppers right now? We'll find them in a minute. You're watching Steve Grissom, the Big Mama Meat Snacks Oldsmobile. There's a mouthful in more ways than one. Leading Morgan Shepherd in the Texas Pete Hot Sauce car. Tommy Ellis right there. Chuck Bound in fourth at 196 laps. Now in fifth now, Dale Jarrett. Sixth, the Busch North driver, Jamie Obey, unofficially. Is that Harry Gant up to seventh?
Yes, it is.
From 46th starting position. Jamie Obey in a good, tough battle there with Dale Jarrett and Harry Gant. That's quite a struggle going on there for what we believe is fifth spot.
I think Obey's a lap down. Remember, he spun and he came in and made a pit stop after he spun, so I think he's probably a lap down trying to get his lap back now.
So Gant then goes underneath Jarrett.
And Dale had no choice right then but to move up and let him go. The car's not working well enough that he can fight real hard for position. He's just hanging on right now, doing all he can. I've been watching Gant in the last few laps. You see him there pulling away from Jarrett in the 32 car. Harry's car seems to be really working well right now, probably the best that it has all day.
Back at the front of the pack, Grissom down this long front straightaway. A 1-mile racetrack. It looks like a big Martinsville to these drivers because the corners are very squared off. There's not a lot of arc going into the corner. It's a fairly sharp turn, and you're right on the bottom of the racetrack all the way around.
This place is kind of like a golf course. Who designed this place? You know, you have different golf course designers. The Bears that have put this racetrack together have really done a good job, as we said at the top of the show. Now you see Morgan Shepherd moving under Steve Grissom, trying to take the lead back.
Good run here for both Shepherd and Grissom. Shepherd, who's had a tremendous season in the Bud Moore car in the Winston Cup ranks. And now he goes to the front, taking the lead away from Steve Grissom. Tommy Ellis and Chuck Bound close in, trying to take advantage as they went too wide, but don't think so. Hole closed up again, and Tommy Ellis back at the front.
Yeah, he's been a force all day. He had that unfortunate tire change. Got him a lap down. He had an unscheduled stop under the green. He got his lap back. Now he's right back up in the thick of things. He's moving on the inside of Grissom as they come down the front straightaway. He's going to take over second position. Now he's going to challenge Morgan Shepherd for the lead. It's a heck of a comeback for Tommy Ellis because he faced a real uphill battle after losing a lap at the midpoint of the race like he did. But I tell you, he's pedaled hard. He's come back strong, and now he's going to try to take the lead.
Good stop battle up at the front of the field. The fans here, it's been a polite crowd. They have been in their seats for much of the day, but they've not been shortchanged by action, not one little bit. We've got 10 different race leaders, and somebody did a little bit of the wall there, back about 4th spot. Steve Grissom looked like he might have caught it with the right rear fenders. He came off turn 4.
You see LD Ottinger moving around Grissom. LD is a lap down, and I believe Steve's got some kind of handling problem right now. The handle seems to have gone away. The car might be a little bit loose. He got Spurley coming off the wall. The right rear just tagged the wall, just grazed it slightly. Didn't do any damage, but I don't think he's running quite as well as he'd like to.
Tommy Ellis has had an interesting day in that 99 car. He has been to the front. He's led this race from lap 30 on until the caution at lap 41. But his car has either been right on or right off, and he's either been going to the front or at the front, or he's been backpedaling like he's been stuck in reverse.
Absolutely. Right now he's going straight to the front. In the 63 car of Chuck, you see Harry Gant moving under Steve Grissom, taking away that spot. I believe that'll move Gant into 4th position. Ladies and gentlemen, he started 45th. He's now 4th, and he's not through yet.
One of those cuppers. We're going to have fun debating this back and forth all day. Those of you who joined us late at the top of the show, Glenn and I, and later Jeff Bodine, who joined us for a bit, got into a discussion about who had the best chance to win this race, a Winston Cup regular with all of their experience in driving long-distance super speedway races, or a Busch Grand National driver experienced in setting these cars up on various types of racetracks. And we're still arguing it out. Looks like we will for another 97 miles here. One car very slow, Dave Mader in turn number 2. He may have it shut off. He came by the start-finish line with the car just idling along. Tough break for the Alabama driver.
And also, while that was in, here comes Steve Grissom in. He definitely has a tire problem.
Let's go to Dick Bergman in the Grissom pit.
Grissom comes in very, very hot, and he apparently has a tire problem. That's no surprise. The left front has green paint on it. The left rear has red and white paint on it. The door has red paint on it. Everybody has been abusing this guy. They've been running all over him. They've just changed the right side tires, and Grissom goes. Flat right rear. That was the problem. Right rear's down.
Tough break for Grissom. Here's a fellow who, well, he'll have another chance to try to make a lap back up today.
Yeah, he worked hard to get the lap back to move up into the lead. Now you see Tommy Ellis starting to put a little pressure on the 9 car of Morgan Shepherd.
And they're coming up on Grissom, who is still, it looks like, dragging a tire against sheet metal. Still a bit of smoke out of that car, so Grissom may not have lost a lap in that exchange, but it looks like he could lose one right now as the leaders bail it. Look how deep Bound goes into that turn 3. Boy, he's got that figured out. He gets right up against Ellis's bumper there.
Yeah, he does. And, they're moving up on Grissom, but I think Grissom should pull away now because he's got fresh rubber, and the other guys don't. You see him out at the head of the pack right there. He's technically still in the lead lap, but he's not a factor to win this thing right now. He needs a caution very badly to pull back around to the tail end of the lead lap.
Needs not to be that caution.
Exactly. Yeah, that seems like when it happens is you start wishing for one, and all of a sudden it's you.
Trouble in 4. One car has all but stalled coming off of the 4th corner. And that's Dave Dion. Yeah. Kelly Moore out of Maine almost ran right into him, and this will be a caution.
And there's the caution that Grissom was looking for. He runs back to the start-finish line, and he does indeed stay in the lead lap. So things are falling in Steve Grissom's hands today.
Hello, Dave Dion dinner when this one's over. Lap 206. Dave Dion, a near stall out of turn number 4. This has not been his best season, as you saw by the point total, but he has really been the scourge of the Northern Tour over many, many seasons. Very talented race driver, and another fellow. There are many in this country about whom has said if he only had the big sponsor and the big break, what he could do in a race car. There's a lot of talent there.
Very likable fellow too. He does. He's fun to talk to, fun to listen to, and he definitely knows a lot about a race car.
So we're under caution for the 12th time today at lap 207. Let's have another look at just what happened to Dave Dion. He spun, and Kelly Moore also spun.
Yeah, we picked it up. We caught advantage of it. You can see him pulling the line right there, and it looks like Kelly is taking evasive action.
And on pit road, leader Morgan Shepherd, along with Tommy Ellis and Chuck Bound, they're all in. Let's go down to Dick Berggren.
This could be the last pit stop. They won't need any more for fuel. Bound is taking fuel only. He is opting for track position. Meanwhile, up pit road, Tommy Ellis is taking tires. There goes Bound. Gant is out already. Also up pit road, several other cars taking on tires. Right side tires for Dale Jarrett. Ellis is gone. They're holding Gant up. They're holding everybody up now. Going to let the field pass by. Big traffic jam at the end of pit road. Kenny Wallace is there. Now they're finally letting everybody go out. They did have time for tires, but they would have lost track position, so they chose just fuel.
And Bound a little slow getting up to speed there.
Yes, he is, and you see Morgan Shepherd still in the pits. He's making a 4-tire change. That's why it's taking him so long. The other guys only took on 2 tires.
Well, he's still working on the left side of that car. It's like he's in for lunch.
Now they got another problem. Yeah, they're doing something over there. You know, they've got the car jacked up like there's possibly a clutch or transmission problem on that car.
He's a long way down pit road, but Dick Berggren will have a story for us in a few minutes. So we're under caution, the 12th one of the day at lap 2:08. 92 laps to run in the inaugural Budweiser 300. We'll be right back. And LV Ottinger will get back on the lead lap as they charge for turn number 1. Ottinger overhauls Tom Peck. Single file off into the corner, but for Mike Waltrip, he's caught on that high side again in car number 30. Keeps it down low enough where he can get some traction.
Mike's a little stubborn about that. He doesn't believe he can keep getting pushed up in those marbles like that.
Well, he did all right that time. Tommy Houston in trouble.
Houston back out on the fact they evidently got his problem solved there momentarily, so he's out making some points.
100 laps to go, and he can still pick up a lot of spots, what with the melees we've had and the 12 caution flags thus far. Several good pit stops. We mentioned Chuck Bound took gas only and not tires, but Bound is middle of the pack, trying to gain ground back there with Earnhardt and Dale Jarrett. Up front, LV Ottinger is now on the tail end of the lead lap, and Tom Peck is the race leader. Here's that struggle right dead in the middle of the field. Earnhardt, Bound, Jarrett right there. That Ed Barrier? No, excuse me. 36 car, Kenny Wallace. And Rick Mast. Derek Cope right behind him. Boy, Cope's done a good job here today, considering he's never run these cars.
Been kind of quiet, but he's stayed in the lead lap all day. We still got a tremendous number of cars in the lead lap. You see Derek Cope battling with Ed Barrier there. Derek's going to get the best of it because he's got the inside groove. Morgan Shepherd right behind him.
Shepherd trying to come back up after a very, very long pit stop. We'll get an update from Dick in a moment on that one. But apparently the car, whatever problems they had, he's working well. Back up front, Tom Peck in number 96 is the race leader out of McConnellsburg, Pennsylvania. Let's give you the 200-lap Quaker State race summary, brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. One tough motor oil. Morgan Shepherd was the leader at 200 laps. 17 lead changes among 10 drivers at that time. 11 cautions for 59 laps. And a pile of drivers out of the race. Early accidents claiming Davey Johnson, Franklin with engine trouble, Bobby Labonte, Dave Rezendes, Ricky Craven, and Bobby Dragon all out in the same accident that also took Dana Patton out of the race. And we're back with the leaders. Tom Peck at the end of the field.
Excuse me, Mike. Randy LaJoy is running second in the 71 car. He overcame that spin down the backstretch in the big wreck that we had to cause the red flag to come back and move it into second place. Third place, right behind him, is 51, Mike McLaughlin. You see him come into the picture there. Peck doing a good job. Again, we talked about Red Kegels turning the wrenches on that car. Got a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. Tom has kept his nose clean all day, running a good tight line around the racetrack right now. It's going to be tough for any of these two guys behind him to pass him, I think, Mike. We've got a car in trouble. That's Derek Cope. Spins off of 4, slams into the pit wall.
And we talked about him too long.
Yeah, well, we jinxed him because he was doing a good job. He might have gotten together with somebody.
And David Dion is off on the back straightaway. Or check that. He is off between turns 3 and 4. So perhaps something happened to Cope's car that Dion got caught up in. But we're at lap 216. 13th yellow flag of the day.
And LV Ottinger gets his lap back. He beat leader Tom Peck across the start-finish line, so he does indeed make up a lap.
And as you talked about earlier, he'll be a contender. As you said, the drivers who run well at Martinsville are apt to run well here. And LD is certainly one of those. So Peck holds up for the pace car, and we'll have another look at what happened to bring out this 13th caution flag of the day. Way up there.
Too high, too wide, and not handsome at all.
No, sir. Howie.
I tell you, you don't look how fortunate Jimmy Hensley is. He just got by before Cope clipped him coming across the racetrack.
Holy narrow racetrack, Batman.
Yeah. You just can't believe how slick this racetrack is out of the groove till you get up in there and then you see these cars just all at once. The thing goes out from under them and they're into the wall.
Derek Cope climbs out. He'll hop over the wall and go to the garage area. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Mike Joy, the problem is he just nailed the thing. He really did, but he's okay. He almost immediately called his crew and let them know that he was going to be okay. He's walking down to meet his crew. His crew is running down to meet him. Meanwhile, you wondered about Morgan Shepherd, why his pit stop took so long. Two things. One of the things that happened to him was a broken impact wrench. That'll always slow a pit stop down. The other thing that happened was they chose to put 4 tires on the car. Recall we were in Chuck Bound's pit. He chose to put no tires on the car. So that's why it took Morgan a little bit longer. He'll be in better shape, though, for this final stretch run.
Derek Cope telling the public address people here that keep a close eye on the Bob Whitcomb car, based here or run out of New Hampshire. Whitcomb, a native of New Hampshire, longtime resident, now makes his home in Charlotte. And there's Dave Dion's car, and the car won't run. They're going to pick him up and haul him back. It's been a long day for the Berlin Ford team.
Sure has. That's the third or fourth spin that Dave's been involved in, and that's not the way his days usually go.
So Dion is still in the car, hoping there's a way to get that thing going, but looks like they're going to try to find a place to hook him up and haul him away. 218 laps are complete, 82 to go, 13 caution flags. We said at the outset of this one that it would be an incident-filled race. Any new racetrack is subject to not just a curing process of the asphalt, but kind of like a wearing in. It's like a new baseball glove. You know, you're going to bounce a few balls off it until you work it in and get it worked in just right. The same thing's true of a new racetrack. As we've seen today, if you get up out of that low groove, up to where the loose stuff in the marbles are, trouble's going to result, and that looked like is what happened to Derek Cope, and has happened and claimed several drivers in their cars here today. But we still have 82 laps of racing to go here at the brand new New Hampshire International Speedway. Sports Channel America's coverage will return right after these messages. Welcome back to New Hampshire International Speedway. Mike Joy with Glenn Jarrett and Dick Berggren. You're looking at Dave Dion's car. We surmised incorrectly as we went to break that Dion was sitting in the car waiting to try to refire it. That was not the case. He was helped from the car and limped into the ambulance, had a slight limp on one side, and he'll go to the infield care center for a checkup, but he was under his own power and just being assisted there, so he may have a minor leg injury as a result of that incident.
I was looking at Dave Dion's car yesterday. The construction of his car is a little different than what you normally see. A lot of leg room in that car, the way that they've built it. And I imagine if he smacked that wall, he probably got his knee over into a bar somewhere. And that hurts. That hurts really badly when you do that.
So here's Tom Peck weaving that car back and forth just a little bit. It's been said to try to keep heat in the tires, but I've been corrected on that and told that it's kind of more to keep the tires clean and keep any junk from adhering to them. You want to explain that a little better?
Well, when you see the cars going back and forth, the driver working the steering wheel back and forth, these race tires build up a tremendous amount of heat running around under here at full speed. When you slow down, the tires cool off. There is rubber, worn rubber that comes off the tires that sticks to the racetrack, and it's hot and it stays there. But when the tires cool off, that warm rubber sticks to the tires. You get a false feeling of extra rubber on your tires. So you see Tom Peck, the 51 car of McLaughlin, several of the cars doing that. By working the steering wheel back and forth like they're doing, that cleans that rubber buildup off of the tires, so that when you go down into the first turn, your tires will stick. If you don't do that, you go barreling off down in the first turn under a restart. A lot of times that rubber goes away all at once, as well as the steering goes away too. You just lose it completely. It's not a fun feeling, I tell you. It's a place like this where the turns are wide and flat. Also at Martinsville, you can just feel the tires skidding along top of the surface until that rubber that you picked up is burned away from the tire.
So they're scrubbing those tires clean as they go by and weave back and forth. My first paying job in racing was at this racetrack 20 years ago for the Trans Am. George Fulmer beat Parnelly Jones, Mark Donahue, and Dan Gurney, Sweet Savage, those stars. They had a scoreboard like at North Wilkesboro where they have 2x4 sheets of plywood with the numbers on them. And I ran a scoreboard, which, you know, you carry the number on, and Fulmer, he passed Parnelly, and you have to go change them all. And I got $25, and, you know, I came up through sports car racing where you pay to play. You don't get paid. And so I thought I was off and running. I think it's about what we're going to make today.
Yeah.
But it was a heck of a job.
I started to say you need to talk to the producer today. See if you can't get a raise.
Oh, well. It was fun then on the old road course, and it's a lot more fun for the fans now, and probably the annual total attendance for this racetrack for sports car racing over the last 10 or so years is here today to watch the Busch Grand National cars go around. SCCA Sports Car Racing returns here in 3 weeks. For all you folks who I know will want to come back and see us run, all 12 of you. We introduce the fans to the drivers on those days.
What is this us? Does that mean that you, our play-by-play announcer, is going to drive on this racetrack?
I take my racing about as seriously as Bob Uecker did his baseball. You know, I run a sports car just to have fun with it.
And about as proficient.
Yeah. Well, you know, we win every once in a while. Yeah, Uecker actually hit the ball once in a while. We try not to hit anything.
You try not to hit the wall.
But we have a lot of fun. Yeah. We're going back under green at lap 224.
Look at McLaughlin down on the inside.
I love it.
Yes, sir.
This kid's a racer. He doesn't get the lead, but boy, he dove it in there hard, and he got second spot. Look, Ed Barrier. Ed, hang on. Ed, don't get up there in those marbles. He's going to save it.
Just barely. The whole field's going to go by before he gets back on the foul.
I can't believe all the momentum you lose when you just get up there just that little bit.
Look at Mike Walker battling to get his lap back from Tom Peck, and Mike McLaughlin just chomping at the bit back there, trying to get by both of them.
McLaughlin is a scrappy little racer. He patterns himself after the late Richie Evans. Drive hard, drive to win. There's nothing else in my life but that race car, and he runs a modified very, very well for Billy Carrazzo out of Connecticut. Mike McLaughlin in that 51 car. This car is owned by one of the crew members on the modified, Mike Breaching, his brother Harry. And here comes McLaughlin pointing that gold snout up underneath the blue back bumper of Tom Peck.
Mike Walker's doing a good job running in that outside lane right there. Now he loses a little momentum, and he loses the position to Peck and McLaughlin and about everybody else that comes along.
Yep, McLaughlin's found its go for it time. Here he comes, down to the inside. I think Peck's going to have to let him go.
He's gone, yes, sir. Nobody's going to hold him back right now.
McLaughlin went to Daytona several years ago in the Len Boulder Busch Grand National car.
Look at the battles in the top five. You see Tommy Ellis moving up there. There's 71 car, Brandon Joy. These guys are going at it really hard right now. I tell you that everywhere you look in the racetrack, there's a good battle for position, but Mike McLaughlin is taking the lead away from Tom Peck and is pulling away.
Well, they're all on fresh tires, and they've all decided it's go time. And there's Darth Vader right behind old Harley Gant, and they're coming.
Yes, they are.
Gant and Earnhardt.
I think you watch the 7 car, and you see him come in the picture there with Dale Earnhardt glued to his back bumper. Yeah, there's 31. Look at this. Grissom gets into Peck as they come off the corner.
Yeah, get out of my way. Slap.
Yeah. I tell you, once you get out of the gas,
I can't believe it. Right side of the screen, Gant just, excuse me, but he dove into turn 3 like he was going to go out through the Miller billboard on the other side.
And now Peck is sideways. We got trouble coming off the 4th.
There goes Tom Peck and everybody.
Dale Earnhardt. Dale got hooked onto him. They actually, the bumper's hooked from the car. You see LD Ottinger spinning around. 87 Joe Nemechek sitting there. Now you see Peck pulling around. Caution flag is out. Everybody is turned around and back underway.
Nemechek is in it. Earnhardt had a piece of it. It started when Tom Peck spun. Peck had been muscled to the outside groove. Couldn't get back down in line. And Nemechek is the one car that still sits at the exit of turn 4.
He's motioning. He's needing some help. The car won't fire. Remember, he had to have a push on the restart a while ago, so the car just simply won't fire.
You know, talk about frustrating. You know, they've got to slow the field down before they can get to his aid. Let's have another look.
Earnhardt gets underneath Peck. Now watch, the car turns sideways, and they just hook up. They almost come to a stop, but they look, see Earnhardt's car's up on top of it. He can't steer it.
Wham. Michael Waltrip is in it.
Some good moves made by some guys there.
And Nemechek slides all the way around, pirouettes in front of the whole field. I don't know how half those guys missed that. I want to see that again, because I want to see if Peck lost it and where Earnhardt was at the time. See if my worst suspicions were confirmed here.
I think Darth Vader got made contact.
Well, Peck was trying to get that car back down to the inside. There's Earnhardt and Ottinger going around. This, of course, under caution.
Now, folks, when we use the term Darth Vader, that is an affectionate term for Earnhardt. We don't mean anything derogatory. He's one of the toughest, fiercest competitors out there. You see he's got his front end damage where they broke up there.
So Dale is going to come to pit road and try to get some of that right side sheet metal fixed up here. Tom Peck is also in the pit lane for repairs. Sports Channel America's coverage of the Bud 300 continues after this. They've seen a little bit of everything here at New Hampshire International Speedway today. Right now, Mike McLaughlin leads Tommy Ellis, Steve Grissom, and Harry Gant, along with Randy LaJoy and Chuck Bound, the Budweiser 300. Motor Racing Weekly, scheduled for this time slot, will not be seen, so that we can bring you the Budweiser 300 live and in its entirety. 68 laps to go. And for an update on who did what to whom to trigger that caution, let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Mike Joy, they just took this piece of plastic out of Tom Peck's left front corner. Whose car do you suppose it came from? Looks like a smoking gun to me from a Darth Vader number 3. Sure enough, here's part of Earnhardt's front end, came right out of Tom Peck's front end. They're still up the other end of pit road working on Earnhardt's car for a long, long while. The nose of that thing was well damaged.
Well, thank you, Mr. District Attorney. There's Tom Peck's car, and see black marks up the side of it. Now, could be tire marks, could be paint. Let's have another look.
30-some-odd years that I've been going to races.
Well, I think it's two things. One is the angle at which these cars are hitting the wall. Presley's car hit the wall at about a 45-degree angle, and the car thrown up in the air. And yet on the other side, the Bobby Labonte car, which flipped, hit at about a 30-degree angle into Craven's car, and the right front tire of Labonte's car just climbed right up the fender of Craven's and sent him up in the air. And then when he hit the wall, that corrected the angle of the car and sent it going side over side. But we've had a lot of cars off the track today.
Here it comes again. Look at this. Boy, there seemed to be the car in the middle there seemed to have stalled. That's LD's car, and it looked like the other two took evasive action. Again, a car moving very slowly, everybody else running full speed. You hit those cars, you just climb right up over them. They're not going to stop. That's the most damage that I have seen on in a four-car crash in many, many years. I'll tell you, they're very fortunate somebody didn't get hurt badly there.
It is the 17th caution flag of the day at lap 251, and you can see it'll be a bit of a lengthy cleanup here along the front straightaway. We'll be back to the New Hampshire International Speedway and the Budweiser 300 right after this. You're looking at Robert Presley's car, along with Randy LaJoie's, the most seriously damaged in this incident. LaJoie's is going to be on the wrecker right behind him. And both those drivers climbed from their cars unhurt.
Tremendous testimony to the safety features and the integral strength built into these cars. And both those cars hit the wall, I mean a ton. Both of them were airborne when they hit the wall. They bounced off, got tagged by a couple other cars. That's just amazing that those two guys were able to crawl that walkway under their own power.
Well, we have 46 laps to go in the Who's Going to Be Left Running 300. What a way to break in a new racetrack. 17 caution flags. Ron Lamell was the last car into that 5-car melee, and he was able to continue. So was L.D. Ottinger, minus his hood now. Kenny Wallace being pushed away after a pit stop, trying to get him refired. Let's take a look at the 250-lap Quaker State race summary as Kenny Wallace. Oh, they can't get him restarted. This summary brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil, One Tough Motor Oil. At lap 250, Tommy Ellis, the race leader. 18 lead changes among 12 drivers. 16 caution flags now for a total of 76 of the 250 laps run thus far. Mike McLaughlin was the 12th different leader. Tommy Ellis now back up front. Driver who first led this race at lap 30 and has had an up and down day. The most recent retiree from this race is Ron Lamell in the 98 car. He was the last car to pile into that incident, and he's now going back to the garage area on the wrecker. Kelly Moore out of the race in that accident. Also Randy LaJoie and Bob Presley. There's Lamell's car, the second incident he had been involved in today. And I'll tell you, the wrecker drivers are earning double duty here today.
They get hazardous duty pay for those evasive actions they're having to make to avoid each other right now. And hauling them back to the garage area.
Wrecker guys and our replay tape machine operator are going in for overtime pay.
Look at the cars as they come down. See all the speedy dry, the quick dry solution there. You're gonna see some problems on the restart if they don't get all that swept up off the racetrack, because slick as this racetrack is, that gritty substance right there, it's going to make things real interesting on a restart. You've been seeing how they've been diving 2, 3, and even 4 wide down the front stretch. They can't do that and run into that stuff, or we'll have another major pile up.
I'm looking for an undamaged race car, and Joe Nemechek is pretty close, but the only one I've seen is Rick Mast, who has been up among the front runners all day. There are a couple other fellows that have been around, but without damage. But Rick Mast is the only car that I can find without a mark on it.
I'm not sure does Ellis have a mark on his car yet?
Hard to tell. This is Randy LaJoie's car, and Kenny Wallace's car apparently would not go into gear because they got him behind the wall. Kenny Bouchard's car right behind is also behind the wall, the ADAP Auto Parts Riverside Park car. And there is Kenny Wallace sitting there while they work on this machine. And I don't know who's going to win this race, but right now, to quote an old Neil Bonnet line, after he fell out of a race at Talladega in a multi-car wreck, Neil said, I asked Neil, who's going to win this thing? He says, well, right now I'd say the pace car's got a good shot at it.
Today the pace car has led the most laps. I wonder if he's going to get paid the bonus money.
He's led 76 of them under the caution flag.
Nobody else has done that. And I don't know
Ellis's
if
car
anybody around to win or not.
Yeah, Tommy's car is marked up down the right side. He got a few wheels, a few of those rub marks. Yeah, Rick Mass, Jack Ingram, I was going to say, his car's unmarked, but he's got the rear bumper pulled back.
Well, folks, we have a brand new Busch Grand National record set here today. 18 caution flags is a record for a Busch Grand National race.
And you weren't even in it.
Yeah. Oh, which one are we on now? Wait a minute. It was set. No, wait a minute.
Yeah,
18 is the record. I'm sorry.
You were in this one.
Set in 1084 at Martinsville. I was there. I know I was there.
Yep.
Because I was in every caution flag in the Busch Grand National race in Martinsville that they ever had.
I'm surprised they didn't bring you out of the retirement to test the wall here, but it's gotten plenty of work out today.
Well, they've had a lot of testing done so far. The wall has won in every instance.
Yep. Hard to combat concrete. Steve Grissom is in the pits, and they have the left side up on his car, looking at the left rear end of the Big Mama Meat Snacks Olds. And here's Dick Berggren.
Well, I'll tell you what, this infield garage area, Mike Joy, is looking like an absolute junkyard. I just cannot believe the carnage here as the wreckers are backing all these vehicles in. However, the good part of the story is, so far, nobody has been hurt. However, importantly, this racetrack has done everything right, including its medical facilities. If anybody were to have gotten hurt here today, they've got one of the best infield hospital situations anywhere. 3 beds, physician on duty, helicopter, just the kind of thing that racers would like to see. Good thing they haven't needed it. Boy, I'm going to tell you what, there's an awful lot of wrecked equipment, but the drivers are all still fine.
Yeah, the one thing they don't have here, Dick, is a good bump and fender man. Of course, you'd need more than 1 or 2. Well, LD, where's the rest of your race car?
That thing looked almost like a Camaro, the way he had restructured, reshaped that thing.
LD Ottinger, outside pole sitter for this race, former national champ. Still running.
And if I'm not mistaken, still on the lead lap, maybe.
He could be.
I don't think he lost a lap there.
Hey, Grissom's car has an interesting associate sponsor. It's Abu Garcia. They make fishing reels and rods, and I noticed about 40 of their T-shirts all in one spot in the grandstand where they brought some folks. Today would have been a great day for that team to go fishing and just say, you know, we don't want to tear the car up here today.
Well, at least he hasn't wound up on the hook.
Okay, that's a pretty good line. I might steal that one of these days. Well, folks, 258 laps complete, 42 to go in the inaugural Budweiser 300. I think it'll go down in the books as the longest race ever held here at Loudon, New Hampshire. One of the drivers involved in that crash has been released from the care center and is okay. Let's go to Dick.
And the driver's car is really destroyed. Randall Joy, are you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay, we're going to show the folks at home what happened again. Can you tell us what happened in the accident?
Well, the spotter said green. I took off, and next thing I know, somebody died. And by the time I got time to get off the gas and get on the brake, it was just too late. And it was just one of those things. The guy missed a shift, I guess, and died, and I had nowhere to go. It's too bad because we're running real good, and I was going to have probably the best run of the year, but now I got some work to do.
Yeah, you sure have.
Dick, how much is that going to cost him to fix that car or replace it?
That's a good question. Randy LaJoy, how much will it cost to fix this car? What would you guess?
I don't even want to guess.
Good thing Dad owns a wrecking yard.
Well, this one might be going there.
Yeah, I kind of think so. It is pretty depressing.
Yeah, that is a very depressing thought as to how much it's going to cost to fix one. You know, I had a guy wreck me one time, and I sent him a bill to fix the car. He never paid it. But
well, tell Randy, LD Ottinger, Newport, Tennessee. Whatever happened to Ottinger's car, that was a car that didn't come to a stop, but kind of stalled out of the line right in front of
to give you an idea how hard LD got hit from behind, how fast Randy was going. LD got hit from the rear, yet the hood flew up, broke the hood pins, sheared them off, and slammed the hood back into the top of the car. That's a lot of force, a lot of impact.
There's Ottinger. He just went past Dale Earnhardt to pick up his point in line on the outside, and we're going back to green at lap 261. Tommy Ellis, the race leader. Chuck Bound, 5-time winner this year in the Nescafe machine, the second-place car. In third, Morgan Shepherd. Ellis in the Goo Goo Clusters Buick. I don't even know if they know what those are up here in New Hampshire. I know you do down in North Carolina. It's a candy confection, folks, for those of our Canadian viewers. But Ellis has a smart lead out front. And who's the guy on the outside into the corner? Come on, Michael, run that thing around her one more time. Yeah, he's found himself a groove there, Mike Waltrip. Jamie Obey also has tried that outside with some success today. A 1-2 no change. It is Ellis up front, Bound in second, Morgan Shepherd is third, Harry Gant is fourth, and Mike McLaughlin. He is the fifth place car, now working under Mike Waltrip in the middle of the corner.
Yeah, Ellis jumped out to a pretty good lead there on that restart. It really surprised me. Chuck Bounds usually very proficient at restarting, but golly, Tommy got about a 10-12 car length lead right there. On the inside of Morgan Shepherd is Harry Gant moving into turn one, trying to take away third position.
Took my breath away, too.
Yeah, I couldn't get that out quick enough.
Harry did.
I couldn't believe he was down there. I don't think
neither could Morgan. But Gant is going to get this spot. There's no way Morgan can hang with him on the outside. He knows it, and he tucks in. Let's see if Morgan has anything for Gant coming off the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Got a bumper for him. Yes, he does.
No, he didn't like that.
I like this.
And he's back under him now, trying to make a move.
I'll tell you, this is fun to watch. The folks here are getting treated to a heck of a show. Harry Gant moving up a spot. And, of course, the best seat in the house is right in front of your TV set. Most people in the stands don't get instant replay after all. The Busch Grand National Racing is something you got to come and see in person. If it's coming to a racetrack near you, get out and see it. But this is every bit as great as Winston Cup. It's tremendous competition. Fellows like Tommy Ellis, Chuck Bound, and duke it out every week, and the Winston Cuppers come on to blend in some excitement, like Harry Gant currently in third, and Morgan Shepherd in fourth, and then Mike McLaughlin now the fifth place car. Sixth is Jamie Obey. Seventh is Dale Jarrett. Eighth is Rick Mast. Ninth, Dale Earnhardt, and 10th, Tom Peck, unofficially. Kenny Wallace very slow in the back straightaway.
Yeah, Wallace just came back out to rejoin the race. He looks like he still has a problem. I don't believe they were able to get the car into the proper gear. Looks like he's hung maybe in third gear. Ellis continues to motor away. He's picked up now to about a 12-car length lead over second place Chuck Bound. It's been a long, long time since Tommy Ellis has won a Busch Grand National race.
They won a national championship, and after that, things just didn't gel from that point on.
If I'm not mistaken, this is the 26th race that Tommy Ellis has gone without a win. That's probably the longest streak in his career. He went without at least one win.
And Tommy Ellis from the Richmond, Virginia area, if he does win this race, Ron Busch.
Fancy bloodlines, expensive yearlings. It's the right road to travel if you're looking for a champion thoroughbred. But the sport of kings extends to the little guy. The little guy, he calls it the sport of dreams. 3 years ago, a carpenter from Virginia connected on the first half of what might be described as horse racing's perfect parlay. Charlie Lindhaus went to Rosecroft Raceway and won a bet called the Double Triple. Suddenly, he found himself in a position to buy a horse. He claimed a Maryland-bred maiden for $14,500, and the rest, as they say, is history. The maiden is about to become thoroughbred racing's newest millionaire. His name is 10 Keys.
Affair second a length, 10 Keys is third. Stellar Rival runs fourth, gap of 2.5 to Broto. They're moving for the turn. It's Iron Courage a half length in front. Yankee Affair up on the outside second. Length and a half to 10 Keys third. It's a length back to Stellar Rival and Broto Trail. They're into the turn. Iron Courage ahead in front. On the outside, Yankee Affair. Those two right together. Length and a half to 10 Keys, Stellar Rival and Broto. They're into the stretch, and Yankee Affair gets the lead. On the inside, that's still Iron Courage, 10 Keys in the center of the track. Then Stellar Rival and Broto. They're in the final furlong, and Yankee Affair is in front. On the outside, 10 Keys gains ground. Now 10 Keys gets the lead.
Today at beautiful Rockingham in Salem, New Hampshire, the Grade 3 New Hampshire Sweepstakes is only 15 minutes away. 10 Keys is ready and waiting. And as you might expect with a purse of $250,000 guaranteed, there's plenty of competition. We'll be back with a look at the field as the telecast of the New Hampshire Sweepstakes continues. Hello again, everybody. I'm Bill Nader, and along with Jerry Cheevers, we are pleased to bring you the 11th running of the New Hampshire Sweepstakes. And because of contractual obligations with Sports Channel, in a portion of the screen, you are going to see the Budweiser 300 from Loudon, New Hampshire. And not to worry, because when we get close to post time and we actually run the race, you'll see the entire race 100% of the screen. The stakes and course record, Jerry, closing bid, 147-4 on July 16th of last year.
Well, Mike Freeman was the trainer at closing bid, and he has a chance to become the first trainer to win 2 Rockingham sweepstakes, as he has the second favorite in this race, Hodges Bay. Today, the turf course is firm, the weather 85 and sunny, somewhat humid. Post time, as you see, 5:16.
This race is being simulcast to 8 outlets. We have Laurel and Pimlico in Maryland. In Pennsylvania, we have Philadelphia Park, Pocono Downs, the Ladbroke at the Meadows, and also Penn National. In Ohio, Thistledown, and in Minnesota, we have Canterbury Downs, and we welcome our simulcast outlets to the telecast. There are a few program changes, no scratches or jockey changes. The race at about 1 1/8 miles, and 3 overweights to report. Number 6, Dixie Dancer, will carry 1 pound of overweight. Number 7, Cafe Creme, will carry 3 pounds of overweight. And number 8, Cali High, will carry 1 pound over. And I would think, Jerry, that we might see a new course record today. We just mentioned closing bid, but this course is really fast right now.
This is the firmest this course has been, Bill, since it's been set down a few years ago. In fact, the last 4 or 5 winners on this course have wired the field, have gone from the starting gate to the finish in front. In fact, we had a race earlier today, and a long shot, as a matter of fact, paid $45, led the field the whole way, and that's the 4th time in the row. This track was usually, before it settled, favored closers, but lately it's favored speed.
And we have 5 local horses in the race and 7 coming in from out of town. And of the 7 out of towners, we welcome back a couple of familiar faces, trainers Vinnie Blanks and Dan Hasbany.
Well, first of all, Bill, Dan Hasbany has won the training title here 8 times at Rockingham Park. He has moved now to New Jersey. Vinnie Blynn's an old pro here from New England. He's stabled in Maryland, and he brings in Dixie Dancer. And this horse is 10 or 11 to 1 and has a chance.
Well, the New Hampshire Sweepstakes handicap, it's now $250,000 guaranteed. Last year it was $100,000. It has really been stepped up in purse money. It's a grade 3 event at about 1 1/8 miles on the turf. It's run for 3-year-olds and upward. And now the field makes its way on the track. Number 1 is Fuller's Folly, a Peter Fuller homebred, trained by Ned Allard, and the jockey is Abigail Fuller. Number 2 is 10 Keys, the high weight at 122 pounds. He's owned by Charlie Lindhaus, trained by Michael Pino, and the jockey is Craig Perrette. Number 3 is Always Have Fun, owned and trained by Victor Falzone. The jockey is Billy Klinke. Number 4 is Fast and Gold, a Sally Bailey homebred, ridden by jockey J.D. Bailey.
Chuck Bound for the 2nd position as well. Also on the lead lap, let's put Ed Faree in the 11th position and Billy Clark in 12th. And again, these are all unofficial postings, but all those cars are currently shown in the lead lap. And Jeff Burton is back up on the lead lap as well. We'll give him 13th slot for the moment. Kenny Wallace, I believe, has fallen 1 back. 20 to go. Harry Gant reeling in Chuck Bound. That'll be the race for 2nd, and it all happens well back of race leader Tommy Ellis. Geez, you know, all the excitement and all the action and side-by-side running we've had here, and I would hate for the last 20 laps to be a snooze.
I don't think that's going to happen. Chuck Bound has cut the deficit down to 1.25 seconds.
He is a smart heads-up race driver. conserves the car, knows when to go fast. About halfway through this race, he found he could run that dive bomb move in turn number 3, got to the front, and since then he seemed to have conserved his race car, like he was waiting, which I know is tough to do, waiting for a time like this and a chance to run it hard.
He has certainly used his ability to hold on to the car, let the racetrack come to him.
Can you catch Ellis?
I don't think so. We're running real good. Yeah, we're running as good as we've run all day long, but it's just Tommy's running awful strong. He has been lately for the last 4 or 5 races. He just hasn't had that good of luck, and you know, we're just trying to hang on here, and so be it, we'll win. If not, we'll run second or third. Harry's running awful good too, so we're just trying to hang in here right now.
We've had a lot of cautions. Do you want a caution?
No.
What would you do if you got one?
Die, probably. No, we need green flag runs.
Trouble in turn 2. One car is in the wall.
You got your caution.
Jamie Obey has spun it up into the wall. Obey, running 1 lap down, is in the fence, jerks it around, and he gets away.
No
We're going to
caution.
stay green.
Yeah, no caution whatsoever. He got it out of the way. There were no cars coming along. It just happened. He just spun at a point. Nobody came by.
Hey, I give him credit. He could have just hung up there, waited for the yellow, not lost a lap, but you know, he wants to see this thing finish and everybody have a chance to race for it.
Well, also he wanted to save his neck, having seen what all goes on off of turn 2. He didn't want to sit there very long.
Well, he's the defending and 2-time Busch Grand National North champion. He whipped it around and kept on going. Was it just lazy spin? He was up there in the high stuff, and that's what's claimed a lot of cars today. And he crumples it just a little bit, finds a hole in traffic, shot it back down the racetrack and got away. So 15 laps to go. We stay green. Jeff Hensley's heart can keep pumping. He was a good little race driver in his own right, but I stepped into this crew chief's role, and it seems to fit him well. It looked like he had a promising career going, couldn't get the sponsorship and the break, and he said, well, okay, I'll run my race team. And they have done a great job with Chuck Bound behind the wheel.
They've always had good equipment. Jeff was a good race car driver, but he realized early on that they needed a name to attract that sponsorship, and he has adapted to that role of crew chief about as well as anybody I've ever seen. He absolutely loves it. He loves making those calls.
Harry Gant has now drifted 2 car lengths back behind Chuck in the battle for second spot that you see on the right side of your screen. Tommy Ellis, last time by, was 1.3 seconds ahead of Chuck Bound. Check him this time as they complete lap 287, 13 to go. Ellis getting a bit of a tow, 1.4, hardly any change.
Yeah, it is stabilized. He Bound to cut it down to about 1 1/4 seconds, but since then Ellis seemed to have gotten the word from the pits, hey, he's gained and turned up the wick a little bit. He did so, and now they're just they're stabilized. They're working traffic after Ellis gets past the 1 car in front of him. I don't think he'll have to lap another car until the race is over.
We're giving you the top dozen or so. Cars 1 lap down include, and these are not exactly in order, but just so you know where your favorite's running, Steve Grissom's a lap down, so is Michael Waltrip, so is Jamie Obey at the time of his spin, Jack Ingram, L.D. Ottinger, and pole sitter Jimmy Hensley. 2 laps down, Joe Nemechek, after being involved in 2 spins, and Jack Sprague, who was involved in 1. Kyle Petty, still out there and contending, though he's about 9 laps down after various maladies today. And Tommy Ellis trying to take home the money and become the first winner of an oval track race here at New Hampshire International Speedway. There's the second place battle. Harry Gant has closed it right up on Chuck Bound, and if these two get battling, that will just about hand things over to Tommy Ellis.
And I think they realize that, Mike. I think that's one reason Harry stayed tucked in behind Chuck until maybe the last couple of laps. He's not going to make the move on him right now because there's no way that they can catch Tommy Ellis if they start racing between themselves.
10 laps to go. Next time past the start-finish stripe for the Goo Goo Clusters machine of Tommy Ellis, the Buick. The John Jackson car. There's Bobby Scruggs on the flag stand. There's 2 outstretched palms. 10 fingers, 10 laps. Second place battle is still a hot one. you have to look back nearly a year for his last victory on this circuit.
It came in my hometown of Hickory, North Carolina. And now you see Harry Gant moving to the inside of Chuck Bound, takes away that second position. Made a quick move as they entered turn 3 there, just drove right by him.
That's the move that Chuck taught him at about lap 140. Chuck taught everybody. He was doing it extremely well at that time. The car's still running very well. But how about Harry Gant, for a fellow who started 45th today after an abysmal time trial? He has marched that car all the way up to the front and has now got it in second place.
Harry Gant probably epitomizes the true short track racer better than anybody in the United States right now. He never, ever gives up. I've seen him crawl out of a car after a race with his hands raw and bleeding from fighting the ill-handling car, and he won the race. You know, that's true grit. You don't see that too often in a guy anymore.
This race has had 12 different leaders, and of the fears that the Winston Cuppers would come in and take home all the money, only 2 of them have led today, Michael Waltrip and Morgan Shepherd. Dale Earnhardt's here, Ken Schrader, both running. Derek Cope has gone to the garage. Kyle Petty is still out there.
See Ellis making his way off 4th turn. Coming by this time, there's only 8 laps to go. He's still got things going his way, and he is continuing to put distance between himself and the second place car, number 7, Harry Gant.
Good battle for 5th place, Mike McLaughlin in 51, and he led a good bit of this race, as did the man chasing him, Rick Mast, and they were just about side by side a lap ago. Mast hauls it off in there into the corner, gets right up to the back bumper, but McLaughlin working well in the middle of the corner, leads him off the turn by a car length. They're going to battle that one right down to the checkered flag, and that's for 5th spot. Good money there. Rick Mast in the Raven Boats Buick. Mike McLaughlin in that Coors Extra Gold, number 51, the Pontiac.
Mast has run a good race today. He led early on. He's not come back up to speed after making a couple of tire changes. They may have mismatched the tires a little bit, affected the handling, but he's still running extremely strong all day long.
That's an Oldsmobile, Brett Bain, McLaughlin's car. Coming up on 5 to go next time. 5th and 6th place, and now you see Mike has opened up a good bit of distance. But they were battling pretty hard there for a few laps. 5 more laps and it'll be history. The inaugural Budweiser 300. Battle for 5th has pretty much evaporated right now. It's Tommy Ellis out in front of Harry Gant, Chuck Bound in 3rd, Morgan Shepherd in 4th, and then that battle we showed you a moment ago. There's Tommy Ellis, the leader, stretching it out. Harry Gant trying to close it in. See how Harry's coming along here. There's Ellis across the stripe, and Gant is still 1.4 seconds back with 4 laps to go.
He's gotten up to about 1.8 seconds, Mike, but I think Tommy's just picking his way through there right now. He's not taking any unnecessary chances whatsoever. He's looking at possibly the biggest payday in his career.
Ellis lapping past Jeff Spraker and Dana Patton. Coming around, 3 to go this time.
Ellis is 3rd on the all-time Busch Grand National Money Won list, so this is going to go a long way toward vaulting him up towards second place. He's Tommy Houston running second in that category right now.
And Harry Gant has fought his way all the way to the front today. He's going to come up about a second and 3/10 short. The 2 furled flags this time will be out for Tommy Ellis. Rounding off the corner. Lapped car is being given that move over flag. And Ellis coming down. As this one winds right up 1.3 seconds. Gant is closing.
Yeah, but he's not closing quick enough. There's just not enough time unless something happens to Ellis's car.
Tommy Ellis out of Richmond, Virginia, driver who has been champion, has been suspended for rough riding, earned a reputation as a bad boy of the circuit, came back to win its title.
He's very colorful, very aggressive driver, and also very talented. He is one of the toughest to beat on a flat racetrack, and that's basically what you have right here. He loves Martinsville, and I'm sure he's going to love New Hampshire International Speedway.
Trouble right past the leader. Wow. One car smacks the wall at turn 2. Ellis will come around for the checker. Is he going to get it down and out of there? He does. That's Jack Sprague. Caution is out.
Again, is closing fast.
But the yellow flag is out. They're going to run back to it. It's going to be the checker. Here comes Ellis. He lifted for the car that spun, but he's going to bring it home, and Harry Gant will be right behind him. They pull back the yellow flag. It is Ellis and Gant. Chuckbound finishing 3rd. The run to the stripe coming for 4th and looking for Morgan Shepherd. As the field slows down, Shepherd will be 4th, and Rick Mast is 5th over Mike McLaughlin. They may have to check that one to see where the pass was made. Dale Earnhardt coming home unofficially in 7th, Dale Jarrett in 8th, Bobby Donner in the 9th position, and Kenny Wallace 10th, according to our unofficial rundown. The Budweiser 300 is history, and Tommy Ellis will be going to victory lane. We'll be back to Loudon, New Hampshire after these messages. It took nearly 4 hours and 14 minutes, but the Budweiser 300 is history. 5th is Rick Mast, 4th Morgan Shepherd, 3rd is Chuck Bound. Harry Gant is the runner-up after coming from the last row, and let's meet the man in victory lane. Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, Tommy Ellis, it was one tough automobile race, wasn't it?
I tell you, it was one tough race, and this Goo Cluster Buick, it ran like hell all day long. We played catch-up. We had the best car. I think we got up front 2 or 3 times. We had a flat tire, lost a lap. The crew did a hell of a job. We beat them out in the pits a couple times. I mean, this is the greatest day of my life, especially with the year we've been having. And, you know, I just don't know what to say. I got to thank all my crew. David Iff helped us this week, and he called the best damn race I've ever had anybody call. And all my guys, Sammy, Teddy, Alan, Bert, everybody that was here, Eddie and all of them. I tell you the truth, and my corners, John, Bill Papke. You know, I owe it all to them guys because they never got down on me, and we've really been down, believe me.
Well, give us a little credit for the driver as well. You drove a beautiful race. So many guys didn't finish, and you hardly got a mark on this car. How'd you accomplish that?
Well, I drove hard all day, and I was in really some tight quarters. I don't know, because it was really tough. You know, I got to thank my wife. She's been putting up with me now for half a season, and this is, I mean, I haven't done anything, and I've been pretty hard to live with, so this is really something.
When you fell way off the pace, Tommy, what had happened to the car at that point?
Well, I just took it easy. David told me when I had a lead on Chuck, take it easy on the tires and save them for the end, and then he told me Chuck was coming. I picked the pace back up. Chuck and I were running the same thing, and that 34 car almost done me in over that for the second time today. I just squeaked by, but that allowed Chuck to really, hurry to really gain a lot of momentum, because I had to get out of the throttle, see what this boy was going to do, and it almost cost me the race, but he was in my way a couple of times today. But thank you, good Lord, for letting us have a good day, because we've had our share of bad ones, believe me.
And the last lap could have been a bad one. You were real close to that thing.
Yeah, it really could. You know, I wish my sponsor, all the guys from Standard Candy Company, especially Dave Pitt, could have been here, because this is the greatest victory of my life, and I'm very proud for Standard Candy Company and Goo Goo Clusters. This is really a feather in their cap.
Now, you've also run Winston Cup races. How does this racetrack look to you as a Winston Cup track?
This is a great racetrack, and I said that before I won, and I'll say it again. I can't wait to come back. It's a hell of a racetrack, and I think we gave the fans them dollars worth today.
Yeah, he sure did. He's an unemotional man in general, but today you saw it. Very emotional. Tommy Ellis in victory lane calls it the greatest win of his life. It's been a long, long career. Today is the biggest.
Got a kiss there from his wife, Brenda, and some of these 35,000 some fans are beginning to file toward their cars and eventually toward the exits. Let's have a look at the top 10. Tommy Ellis winning for John Jackson and Bill Papke. They may have to start selling that candy up here in New Hampshire. Second to Harry Gant from the last row to second place. What a drive for Gant today. Chuck Bound led a good part of this race. Came on back, and though he was denied that second spot, finished up a strong third and holds on to a strong point lead in the Busch Grand National Series. Morgan Shepherd coming in with a strong performance. He led this race also and finishes fourth. So did Rick Mast, and on the last lap, he got the fifth position away from Mike McLaughlin, the modified series former champion and standout. McLaughlin gives the Grieche brothers a good sixth-place run. Dale Earnhardt never led this race, but he was a contender all day long and figured in a couple of the incidents that were some of those 18 caution flags. He was seventh. Dale Jarrett had the whole right side of his car ripped off, but kept on with the program and finished eighth. Bobby Daughter stayed out of trouble in everybody's way all day, had a good ninth place finish, and Kenny Wallace wound up rounding out the top 10. I believe we had 12 cars on the lead lap at the finish. we may get a chance to run you a bit further back before we leave the air today. But Glenn Jarrett, your impressions of this facility, 1 mile super speedway, big short track, small super speedway, whatever, it sure lived up to a billing as an action track.
Well, it's a great combination of both of super speedway and short track, Mike. And I think, you know, they built this track with, as I said at the top of the show, with the fans and the drivers in mind. Every driver that I talked to loves the racetrack. They knew that they would get better and better on it as the grooves got wider and they had more time on the racetrack. It's great for the fans. This is one of the most exciting races that we've seen all year long. It's unfortunate we had all the caution flags that we did, but still, it was a terrific show, and everybody's going to be looking forward to coming back.
Check your local paper tomorrow, but unofficially, Tom Peck also finished on the lead lap. So did Ed Ferree, Billy Clark, Jeff Burton. 1 lap down, we're showing the cars of Steve Grissom. Mike Waltrip was a lap down. Jamie Obie before his spin. Jack Ingram, L.D. Ottinger, and Jimmy Hensley. Well, these folks sure got their money's worth. They got sunbaked, got a little bit damp. 1 little brief rain shower extended a caution period. But boy, they saw some great action today and some great racing. We'll look forward to coming back to New Hampshire a little later on in the season and bringing some more great racing from this track on Sports Channel America. This has been fun.
Definitely fun. This has been one of the most exciting shows that I've seen in a long, long time. I still can't get over the crash that Labonte had when he got upside down.